Welcome to WCBN's coverage of Senior Day here in the Big House. The number 4 Michigan Wolverines host the 5-5 Indiana Hoosiers. I'm Daniel Thompson, joined alongside by Nate Sorensen. And Nate, it's Senior Day. That's the big event in Ann Arbor, but I think everyone in Ann Arbor for the past couple hours and just only a few minutes ago, we're all focused on one other game. Want to give us a recap of how that one went down?
Well, Maryland, the Terps, had every chance in the world to take down OSU here today. They just could not get it done there in the fourth quarter. It's tough. I know everyone here wanted Michigan to be able to clinch the Big Ten East right here, but it's going to be awful sweet going down into Columbus next weekend with that on the line.
Indeed, the dream that many Wolverine fans had that they might not even need to beat the Buckeyes and would face a dejected Ohio State team in Columbus is gone. An Ohio State team that just will not say die. They've survived a couple of close ones since that beating in Purdue. That might be a sign of what it will take for the Wolverines. They might have to really jump up and get a big lead on the Buckeyes because they don't go away.
Yeah, absolutely. And with their high-powered offense, you know, they've struggled in other facets of the game, but when you can put up that many points at any given weekend, it's hard to take down a team like that.
Jared Smolar gets this game underway, and that goes over Ambry Thomas's head. He elects not to return it and takes a shallow skip in the end zone. Could have been returnable, but Thomas will let the offense take the field here from the 25-yard line. Now, perhaps the featured member of the offense is Karan Higdon, one of the two captains alongside Tyree Cannell, announced here on Senior Day. His 100-yard game streak snapped. He headed up 8 consecutive games with 100 yards. That finally ended in Piscataway last week. You and I were there on the call. Do you think he'll get back to form on this one?
I believe so. I think this offensive attack is going to run through Karan Higdon today for sure.
The snap is underway. It's given to Higdon, who waits for a lead blocker, now has some room on the right side, still running and crosses the 35, taken down at the 39-yard line for a 14-yard gain on first down. Karan Higdon already looking back in form with a big gain, longer than any run he had back in Piscataway last week.
Yeah, this Indiana rushing defense is not one of their strong points. They gave up 542 total yards just last week to the Maryland Terps, which we know Maryland has a pretty decent offense, but they gave up 353 yards on the ground. I feel like Michigan's going to have a lot of success there as well today.
Patterson from the shotgun, play action, keeps it himself, and fires to Nico Collins downfield, who cuts back inside and picks up another first down, crossing into Indiana territory, brought down around the Indiana 47. 2 plays, 2 first downs for the Wolverine offense, looking as good as ever.
Yeah, perfect there. You see where that rushing attack by Karan Higdon set up that play action. Everyone bet on that one, expecting Karan Higdon to just get fed the ball there again, going off the right side. Absolutely a perfect play fake right there.
So 1st and 10 from the Indiana 48. Shea Patterson is back in the shotgun. Karan Higdon, the lone back, takes the snap, stays on his feet and cuts out to the 40-yard line. It will be the first second down of the day for the Wolverines, but it's going to be 2nd and 2. Jumped over a would-be tackler who was on the ground and sets up a nice 2nd and 2 here for Michigan. Offense looking smooth right now.
And this is normally what you see out of the Michigan offense, typically in second halves, where they've kind of ground down teams. They kind of beat them into submission through the ground game. But this Indiana defensive front is very undersized. I feel like they're going to have a hard time this entire game.
Higdon, still the lone back, has a huge hole to run down. Isn't touched by anyone until the 30-yard line and muscles his way to the 27 before being carried out of bounds by, it looks like, Bryant Fitzgerald in on the tackle. And right now Michigan has been running either shallow passes or just a handoff to Karan Higdon every play and getting all the yards they could ask for.
Yeah, overall, this Indiana defensive line, their entire starting front four, there's only one guy over 300 pounds, just barely, and that's Barwick. He stands at 307. There's not a single guy on this Michigan offensive line under 320.
Higdon takes a breather and Evans is in as Shea Patterson rolls to his right, finds the receiver down the sideline for a modest gain up to the 23-yard line. That's Grant Perry, the senior, honored today on Senior Day with a 3-yard reception, bringing up 2nd and 7. And that's the worst play for Michigan so far today.
Yeah, not bad. But I kind of expect Shea Patterson to take it easy this game, just be looking to go underneath. Indiana likes to play cover 2. They keep the 2 deep safeties and will just kind of let plays happen underneath. There's going to be a lot of little dink and dunks like that throughout this game.
Shea in the shotgun now, hands it off to True Wilson. It breaks into the game, cuts inside, and is able to get forward for a first down up to the 12-yard line. Every Michigan running back looking pretty good right now. True Wilson had a lot of green grass in front of him as he just really moved forward and followed the holes. You mentioned it, this is a small Indiana defensive line, and they are getting pushed around by the Michigan offensive line right now.
Absolutely, and True Wilson never even met a would-be tackler until he was 10 yards downfield. That's just this Michigan offensive line dominating right now.
So 1st and 10 from the 13. Shea Patterson still in the shotgun, hands it off to Karan Higdon, who's back in the game. He waits, doesn't find the hole he's used to, and is brought down after a 1-yard gain. Michigan's red zone offense has really improved here in 2018. That was a huge issue of worry in 2017. They have been pretty good in the red zone so far this year. The offense has slowed down just a little bit here as they've gotten close to the goal line. But I think they should feel pretty good about themselves going forward here.
Absolutely, and that was a big concern early on in the season as well. It just seems the season has gone on. This offense just looks better and better every single week, and it really shows here in the red zone. The
offense slows it down and huddles up for the first time on this drive. High snap, but Patterson handles it. However, Higdon is met in the backfield and brought down for no gain. That will bring up the first third down of the day for the Wolverines. 11:18 to go in this first quarter.
And I believe that was Ball, their third linebacker, almost a bit of a viper, kind of like Hudson is, coming off that side. Oh, excuse me, that was actually the strong safety, Fitzgerald. Only a redshirt freshman just got the starting position only a couple weeks ago.
Patterson now from the shotgun. Karan Higdon, the lone back, takes his time, has plenty of time, starts to run around the pocket, still looking for an open man and ends up throwing it away. Nearly intercepted. An Indiana defensive back did come up with the ball, but he was out of bounds with both feet when he landed. And Shea Patterson really had all day to throw that. Just no one could get open here from the red zone, so I praised Michigan's red zone offense a bit there, and that just immediately killed the drive.
A classic jinx, for sure.
It would appear so. So that will result in Quinn Nordin getting his first field goal attempt since the Penn State game. Moody now is in for the field goal. Alex Drain provides the correction. So Jim Harbaugh makes the switch, and Jake Moody looks good, putting that one way above the uprights, right down the center. It was just a 31-yard field goal, but he looked good in that one. What do you think of that, the kicker change?
That is very interesting. Quinn Nordin, a top recruit when he came here to Michigan. Everyone knows the famous story of Jim Harbaugh sleeping on his in his house overnight in an effort to recruit him away from Penn State. He's not been bad, but he's been very inconsistent so far this year. He had some big struggles against Michigan State. He's been a guy that always seems like he's got the biggest leg in the world, but he just can't quite figure out the accuracy. It says a lot that Jim Harbaugh is exploring other options, that maybe he's been knocked out of the starting position right there. You got to figure.
Indeed, and I'm wondering if maybe they might make a move where Quinn Nordin, who is known to have an extremely strong leg, can make a field from just about anywhere. Jake Moody might become the short-range specialist. He might be a lot more accurate than Nordin. Meanwhile, Tom Brady is on the big screen here in the big house, congratulating the honorary captain of the day, John Falk, who was the trainer for the Michigan football team for 30 years. A lot of big stars get this award. Tom Brady himself was the honorary captain 2 years ago, and Michael Jordan also in 2016 honorary captain, Charles Woodson amongst others. In fact, Jim Harbaugh invited both presidential candidates back in 2016 to be honorary captains. And right now there's a long video message going on from Tom Brady, still talking, showing some championship rings he saved from his time back in the team, and the big house is going wild right now. Really a special moment for John Falk.
Yeah, a guy that was with the program for 40 years, I believe. Absolute Michigan man through and through. Was there the entirety of Bo's tenure, I believe. He's written himself a couple of books talking about his time with the Michigan football team. They're must-reads, in my opinion.
Indeed, and he is, 1974 to 2014, they just have up on the screen, was with the team. And he is standing right in front of Chase Winovich and by Brian Monet, getting all the honors here. That's really, I think that's the best honorary captain I've seen in my time here at Michigan.
Yeah, you love to see maybe a guy that not everyone knows across the nation, not a huge star, but a big star here in Ann Arbor.
And then should be. Gets a video shout out from one of the biggest stars in the nation. I don't think I've ever seen a shot from Tom Brady's home like that. That was a pretty good interior design he had there. Not as if I would expect anything different.
I'm sure he cannot pay someone to do the interior decorating for him.
Indeed, as he gave that message from his couch back somewhere in Massachusetts, I believe his mansion is. But great moment there for the Wolverines. Kind of makes you forget about the fact that the Wolverines are up 3-0 right now with 10:41 to go in the first quarter. And maybe distracts Michigan fans from the disappointment in not getting a touchdown there. Jake Moody, the field goal kicker now, kicks it off. It's caught at the 1, but fair caught, which will give Indiana their first possession of the game from their own 25-yard line.
Now as this Indiana offense takes the field, I'm going to be very interested to see what they can do on the ground here. Their running backs coach is a Michigan legend, Mike Hart, a guy who set all sorts of records earlier on in the 2000s, was a part of some really great Michigan teams, one of the best backs in Michigan history. Let's see what his running back core can do here.
Right there, he had almost nothing, was met by Devin Gill almost immediately. Then he was able to push forward for about a 4-yard gain. As you mentioned, Mike Hart, all-time Michigan leading rusher, is the Indiana running backs coach. Stevie Scott, his true freshman running back, gets 3 yards on 1st and 10, brings up 2nd and 7. Peyton Ramsey sends the man in motion and fires for the first down. That is caught for an Indiana. No, they rule incomplete. So on a diving catch that looked like, to me at least, was a completion, Peyton Hendershot does not come down with the ball. And it will be 3rd and long for the Indiana Hoosiers. The Big House gets up and is yelling right now, trying to drown out the Indiana offense. From the shotgun formation, 5 wide. He is he stays up and is finally wrestled down by Kwity Paye. Stays on his feet. I can't believe he was able to stay up. Peyton Ramsey gets the first down. 21-yard gain. I have never seen a quarterback look so near to down.
And his knee may have been down. The Michigan defensive line was certainly acting like they thought he was down.
Kwity Paye nearly tackled him by the head, couldn't quite get him, then held on to his ankle, brought him what it seemed like he was down to the ground, and I think Kwity Paye may have thought he had him before Peyton Ramsey, his hand was down.
It looks like he stayed up there. His butt got very close to touching the turf.
A hand on the ground counts as down, does it not?
Not when it's the palm. If it's the back of the hand.
Okay, yes, good call. The palm of his hand goes to the ground. I think Kwity Paye gave up on that play because he thought Peyton Ramsey.
And see, that is the thing, is Kwity Paye had him wrapped up for so long, it seemed like he just believed that they were going to blow it dead eventually. He just gives up because he thinks he's held him for long enough that they would blow it dead. They normally do that to protect quarterbacks. Instead, the refs hold on to the whistle for an extremely long amount of time there. That's not standard practice for certain.
Yeah, and it looked like a lot of Michigan players thought he was down due to stop of forward progress. I mean, that would be a very reasonable call there for for Ramsey's own safety. So to recap that play, on 3rd and 7, almost immediately Kwity Paye beats the tackle and just goes over the back of Peyton Ramsey, nearly brings him down, holds him down by his knee and his ankle, nearly twists him down. Ramsey plants his hand into the ground, the palm of the hand, so he's not legally down, then runs forward for about a 21-yard gain. The ball is now on the Indiana 43-yard line. The referees confirmed the call. It will stand as a 18-yard run for Peyton Ramsey. So on the ensuing handoff, it looks like Stevie Scott is going to get forward for about a 4-yard gain, bringing up 2nd and 6. Devin Bush in on the tackle.
Interesting to see Indiana go with 2 runs on their 2 first downs here. Normally, they pass the ball about 70% of the time.
Ramsey in the shotgun drops back. That pass is caught by Donovan Hale, who is tackled immediately right on the 50-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd and 3.
they're in an offensive attack, much like we saw with Rutgers last week, a lot like what Ohio State does as well. They never huddle up. They come out in a spread, and they just dink and dunk to slot receivers and running backs that come out of the backfield for most of their plays.
Ramsey sends the man in motion. He is by himself in the backfield again on third down. This time much shorter, 3rd and 3. Michigan brings the blitz. The protection picks it up, and he has a man downfield. That is caught, and that looks to be a first down. Flag is thrown there at the end as Luke Timian makes the catch.
And that's interesting because it was the line judge with the play right in front of him.
The penalty is declined against Michigan. That keeps it 1st and 10 now, ball on the 46.
And I'm not really sure what the call is. I did not recognize the hand signal the referee gave. I guess it didn't end up mattering, but strange penalty there.
They give it to Stevie Scott on first down, who gets nowhere. 2nd and 10 now for Indiana.
It was a sideline warning we're getting confirmation of, and yeah, that could come up later in the game after one of those warnings. That could become a costly penalty later on.
So 2nd and 9 from the 45. Indiana on a pretty good drive right now, getting into Michigan territory. Ramsey drops back to pass again, throws downfield, but there is no one in the vicinity. It looked like Lavert Hill, Josh Metellus, and the would-be receiver, Donovan Hale, all got a little bit tangled up there. A couple bodies fell to the ground, and no one was near the ball when it flew out of bounds. So 3rd and 9 now. 2nd time here we've had a 3rd and long for the Hoosiers. They go empty backfield again.
And you got to figure they're going to go underneath, try to get somebody running downfield after the catch.
Indeed, Ramsey has not completed a pass of longer than 3 air yards so far today. Ramsey drops back and immediately has to throw, finds a man shallow, but not enough for the first down. He was backpedaling for his life there before he found Luke Timian, who caught it around the 40-yard line, dove forward to the 39. That brings up 4th and 3, and they're keeping the offense on the field.
Bold decision, but this is the kind of thing you have to do when you're playing a better opponent on the road and you're down. It's an aggressive call here, but it's a winning play for sure.
Empty backfield on 4th and 3. Expect a shallow throw here. Indiana likes to keep it close to the line of scrimmage. The pass is incomplete, but then intercepted by Brian Monet. He hit the receiver on the hands. The pass was immediately broken up, and Michael Dwumfor got the ball as it was going to the ground. Michigan would have actually gotten better field position had Dwumfor let that ball fall to the ground, but you're not going to take an interception away from a guy over 1 yard.
Yeah, that was a heck of a play there. I believe, was that Metellus that came down and met the receiver as they were trying to catch the ball. Just an absolutely incredible break and play on that ball there to bat it over to Dwumfor. That's something that the secondary is going to have to do, because Indiana is just going to continue to dink and dunk the ball. They're going to try to exploit any cushion that these Michigan D-backs give them. They got to break and get on top of receivers right away, just like the secondary did right there.
I don't know why Peyton Ramsey threw that pass. That had no chance of going for a first down. His receiver was running back toward him, away from the first down marker, before Josh Metellus hits him in the hands, makes the ball go to the ground, and then Michael Dwumfor is just lying on the ground, easily intercepting the ball. Gets his first career interception. And I don't think anyone's going to give him a hard time about the fact that the ball would be on the Michigan 44 rather than the 43-yard line had he let that one hit the ground.
Certainly not. Big guys like that, they got to take every chance they can to get their hands on the ball. That's a special moment for a guy who probably will never ever hold the ball again, I would imagine, in a game.
No, his best chance of touching the ball again is a fumble or something like that.
But
yeah, great moment there for Michael Dwumfor. And that stops the Indiana drive that was looking pretty good. And right there, you really got a preview of that Indiana offense. They do not like to test the secondary at all, really. They throw short, they throw before the sticks, and they get the ball out quickly, which is a good matchup against this really fierce Michigan defense. The pass rush has gotten to Ramsey on basically every single play, and he needs to fire the ball out right away.
Yeah, and you saw there they tried to take that one deep shot. It didn't work out because I believe it was Hale on that one was jammed immediately at the line of scrimmage. And we know these defensive backs for Michigan, I mean, especially Long and Hill, are ultra aggressive. They like to stick guys at the line, impede their progress before they ever even have a chance to get the ball. And these Indiana receivers aren't necessarily dynamic athletes. They're big, I believe, and they both are. Their two wideouts are Hale, who stands at 6'4", and Westbrook, a real difference maker, stands at about 6'3". They're guys that can go up and make plays downfield when they get a chance, but they don't necessarily have the speed to blow by defensive backs. So if Michigan can just stop them from ever getting downfield, you're going to see a lot of plays like that. That balls just sail way out of the reach of receivers.
So the Indiana game plan has been pretty successful so far, I'd have to say. Was able to make that Michigan defense look mortal. Shea Patterson now under center, drops back, has time to throw, steps up and is firing deep downfield to Tariq Black and just misses him by a stride. It looked like if Black had really laid out for that one, he might have been able to come down with it, but he was in double coverage. Patterson doing a good job throwing that ball where it was uninterceptable. Just a hair little deep for Tariq Black.
Oh my. It looks like if he just reached out his arms, he might have had a chance at that one. He didn't even really make a play on the ball. Interesting there. Tough to see the ball just kind of fall harmlessly to the ground, but I do like to see Tariq Black running downfield getting a shot at a deep ball.
So that brings us back to 2nd and 10. Handoff to Chris Evans. Churns forward for about a 3-yard gain. And that is the, I think, first official target of Tariq Black all year.
True, he did have the one would-be touchdown get called back.
That one got called back for a holding call, so I think that's the only time this season that it will go down in the stat sheet that Tariq Black was targeted. Got no targets in the game against Rutgers. That was a pretty big point of debate. Right now, Michigan is faced with their second 3rd and long of the day. 3rd and 8 from their own 40. Patterson drops back, rolls to his left, fires short to Chris Evans. Nowhere to go, and is brought down for a modest gain. That should bring out the punt squad.
And that's tough right there. Looked like the pocket looked pretty clean, but Shade just bails out of it immediately. Did have pressure coming from the right side, but may have been able to step up, maybe look more across the middle of the field. He rolled out to his left, really had no choice but to dump it down to a Chris Evans, who had absolutely no chance of getting to the first down marker.
And that was Berkeley Edwards, actually, who got the reception. The senior on senior day getting his first career reception. The punt now is underway, and it's a short-looking one. Bounces at the 24 and then sails out of bounds around the 21 or the 20. Not a great-looking punt, and the crowd reacted to that one a little bit.
Yeah, a very uncharacteristic punt there by Will Hart. If he ever messes up on a punt, he normally kicks it too far. I don't typically see him under-kick one. I guess a guy's bound to make a mistake every once in a while.
There are some very calm skies today. There were some talks about weather concerns. Right now, it's a perfect day. No snow. It snowed earlier in Ann Arbor. There is still snow like on all the roofs of the buildings I can see here from the press box in the big house. And there is really no wind, so not much of an excuse there for Will Hart. Just an uncharacteristically bad punt from him. And that keeps Indiana well within this game. This, of course, was a bit of an easy game for Michigan to overlook, with Ohio State coming right in front of them. This game does not matter really to the Big Ten standings at all, but of course it is huge for playoff implications. Ohio State stays as a one-loss team, so they're going to be a high-quality win no matter what, should Michigan get it.
Michigan needs to win out here without a doubt. If they want any chance at making the college football playoff, they still sit at number 4, but we've seen that even teams with one loss that have won their conference, they can get left out. It happened with, I believe it was Baylor back before the scandals.
TCU, rather.
TCU, it was between TCU and Baylor.
Yes, and then TCU won, but they didn't have a Big 12 championship game back in that day.
Okay. But, yeah, that's true. Not having the championship game did hurt, but still, a conference winner with only one loss has been left out before, and there's not a whole lot of a precedent for Michigan to be left out if they do win out, but it's still absolutely going to be a necessary condition for them to make it.
And right now, all 5 power conferences have at least one team who is undefeated or one loss. Big Ten has 2 between Ohio State and Michigan, but of course Michigan has a much better chance to make the playoff as of right now. But another part of this equation is that Notre Dame is still undefeated, and they have looked good so far against Syracuse. They lead 20-0 at halftime. And that's a team who I think has really been disrespected as much as you can for a 10-0 team with such as iconic of a brand as Notre Dame. A lot of people looked and thought Syracuse could have been the team to upset Notre Dame. It was technically a road game for Syracuse, even though it's in the state of New York. But Notre Dame, a team from Indiana, is playing at home in Yankee Stadium. Strange issue there, but Notre Dame is looking good, like a top 10 team they are. Winning by 20-0, and they are really justifying that number 3 ranking. The crowd goes wild as it's announced that Nebraska has defeated Michigan State 9-6. Indiana comes onto the field now. They have a bit of misdirection going on in the backfield, but end up running a power run down the middle. It is Stevie Scott who was taken down after a 4-yard run. Rashawn Gary in on the tackle. Indiana going no huddle, getting right back to it. 5:34 still to go in this first quarter. Peyton Ramsey hands it off once again to Stevie Scott, who has room. Is across the 40, the 45, 50, and Tyree Cannell wrestles him down, but not before getting to the Michigan 42-yard line.
Heck of a run there by Stevie Scott, but that was because the Indiana offensive line just opened up a huge hole. Never met a defender there inside the box, and that just can't happen if you're there on the Michigan defensive front. That was absolutely a gaping hole right there.
Another handoff. This time it goes to Ronnie Walker Jr., who is tackled in the backfield. Quiddy Pay and Chase Winovich there for the tackle. That'll be a loss of yards. Stevie Scott, if he can get to 106 yards today, he'll reach 1,000 in his first season playing college football. The true freshman is second in rushing yards amongst true freshmen this season.
There, we saw a big flaw there by second-year offensive coordinator Mike DeBoard. He just went straight back to the same play that got them big yardage. Michigan was ready for it.
Ramsey fires downfield on 2nd and 11. His receiver nearly came down with the ball there, but Nick Westbrook could not quite get both hands around it. Tyree Cannell in coverage makes it 3rd and 11.
They're interesting to see Indiana switch it up, take a deep shot, but again there, Mike DeBoard, the offensive coordinator, he will do that very often where he sees one play have success and then he'll just go right back to it over and over again without the same results. It's really a perplexing thing he does, but we already see it here early on in the first quarter.
Peyton Ramsey once again all alone in the backfield on 3rd and long. The crowd is on their feet and screaming. Ramsey drops back, has some time to throw, and is running now. He has all day in front of him, crosses the first down marker, makes Tyree Cannell miss, still has blockers downfield, cuts outside of the 10-yard line, and is chased back to the 12 before running out of bounds. Great run there by Peyton Ramsey.
It sure was. Peyton Ramsey is not exactly a Denard-type runner or anything like that, but he certainly has the ability, when there's that much green grass, he can go downfield and make you pay, and that was absolutely, there's just nobody even near him right there. Everyone locked up on their man, nobody spying the quarterback.
Scott takes the ball and is in, untouched for a touchdown. Indiana has taken the lead, 6-3. Stevie Scott was not within tackling distance of a man the whole run there. A huge hole opened up. Looked like Simon Stepaniak, the right guard, just pushed Devin Bush back, and he was the only man who had a chance at making that tackle. A walk-in touchdown for the true freshman. It will be Logan Justice looking to dot the I here and make it 7-3. Kick is up, it is good. And the Wolverines are suddenly in trouble on senior day.
They absolutely are, and that is something, that's not really Indiana's identity, having a downhill rushing attack, and they've always been a pass-first team. They like to spread it out, do all of that, but Stevie Scott's added a new dimension to this team. He's absolutely a downhill runner. He likes to get north and south. You're not going to see him break a lot of tackles by juking around, but if he gets an open hole and he's got a lane to run through, he is tough to stop. He will just run right downhill straight into the end zone like he did right there.
Stevie Scott already has 61 yards on the day. Good enough for an average of 10.2 yards per carry. He's up to 955 total yards on the season. One of the more impressive freshman running backs. Wearing number 21, which is the number worn by Indiana Hoosier alum running back Jordan Howard of the Chicago Bears. Good game for him so far, and I think it's important to remind Michigan fans not to overreact. There was a much earlier to this day that ended up being quite pedestrian when you looked at it at the end. I think you know what game I'm talking about, Nate.
Yeah, that's... Well, we all got our hopes up maybe a little bit too much there with that Ohio State-Maryland game. Ohio State... Oh, that one too. Alabama tied at the half with the Citadel. We should have known. That's a Nick Saban specialty. Sandbag the first half, maybe get into his team's ear a little bit, and come out the second half and just took care of business. The fact that game was ever in question is really quite startling.
It really is. This Alabama team had not been within 2 scores of anyone at halftime all year round. And then the Citadel, a previously 4-5 FCS team, keeps it tied at halftime, 10-10. They actually got the ball to start the third quarter and missed a 45-yard field goal that could have made that a 13-10 game with Citadel leading. Alabama has only trailed to Ole Miss for about a minute 30 all season long. They trailed for 2 plays all season long. The Citadel was in a really good position to double that number. Instead, they end up losing 50-17. So Michigan fans, don't freak out right now if the score is 7-3.
Yeah, and you can tell so far here, Michigan is playing very conservatively. We expected that coming into the game. They tried some pretty interesting, a little bit out-of-the-box things against Rutgers. I figured they'd come out and play very conventionally, just trying to get this team into next week healthy against Ohio State. But maybe they're not playing a little bit too conservatively so far here today.
Now, I do want to make sure that I do not think the Citadel is anywhere within Indiana's league. Indiana is a much better football program, a team that very well is playing right now for bowl eligibility. Indiana does a squib kick. That one is going to be caught by, looks like, Berkeley Edwards at the 30-yard line. He has room to run, bumps into Ambry Thomas, but stays up, wrestling his way across the 35. Looks like he got to the 36, but got pushed back to the 34. We'll see where the ball was spotted. Had he run it around the outside of Ambry Thomas, I think he could have really had something there. A guy who's not used to returning kicks. That was a really short kick. I guess Indiana's just trying to eliminate the home run ball. Ambry Thomas did run back a kickoff against Notre Dame in the first game of the season. Ball is spotted at the 36. Don't know why Indiana elected to give Michigan 11 yards of free field position right there.
Well, I'm curious to know what Jim Harbaugh knew, because it didn't look like Ambry Thomas ever went deeper than the 10-yard line there on that. I may have been expecting that one. Strange decision nonetheless by Indiana.
So Shea Patterson from the shotgun formation hands it off to True Wilson, who is still running, gets to the 41-yard line and is brought down. That will bring up 2nd and 5. And Maryland did kick an onside kick after taking the touchdown on the first drive of the game. They went up 7-0, recovered their onside kick against Ohio State. Maybe Indiana was inspired by the same, or at least Jim Harbaugh was afraid of that. True Wilson is still the back. Shea Patterson in the shotgun with 3 receivers out wide. They give it to True Wilson again. No, it's the keeper for Shea Patterson, who crosses the first down marker and dives forward at the 49-yard line. Brings up a 1st and 10 for the Wolverines.
Now that's not something I expected to see this entire game. I don't believe Shea Patterson ran past the line of scrimmage the entire game against Rutgers last week, and I expected the same here. He keeps it on the read option, runs right up the middle of the defense right there, and then actually dives forward. Pretty risky play considering that backup quarterback Dylan McCaffrey just broke his collarbone not 2 weeks ago.
Karan Higdon is back in the game. Patterson keeps it again, has much less room this time, and is tackled for maybe a loss of a half a yard. In a game that might be, well, first you have to win this game. They're trailing right now with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. But it's interesting how they're calling these quarterback options right here.
And right there, Shea Patterson didn't take too bad of a hit, but looked like number 34, Cam Jones, backup linebacker, gave him a little bit of a shoulder as he was going down. That's not something you want to see your starting quarterback have to deal with.
Shea Patterson in the shotgun formation. You can see the players' breaths on the field all the way from up here. Cole Dane and Arbor. They hand it off to Karan Higdon, who cannot find a whole lot of room, gets just across the midfield line, and that'll bring up 3rd and 8. An important note, Andrew Stuber is in. Bushel Beatty is on the sideline with his helmet off. It looks like that's an injury there to the senior on senior day, who's really just had a fantastic season after a rough start in South Bend, really turned his year around.
And that may be kind of like what we saw against Rutgers. Any player that even looked like they had even the hint of an injury was immediately pulled from that game. I'm sure that's probably what's happening with JBB right now.
Play action on 3rd and long. Patterson has a lot of grass in front of him, dumps it off to Karan Higdon, who does not quite get to the first down, is tackled by Thomas Allen and is brought down at, we'll call it the 44-yard line. That brings on 4th and 2, and the Michigan offense is staying on the field. 1.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Wolverines trail the Hoosiers 7-3.
And Ben Mason standing near the proximity of Jim Harbaugh, but it doesn't look like he's going to get the call here.
We have not seen any of Ben Mason so far today. He is the guy to go to on short yardage situations. They come out in a shotgun formation on 4th and 2. They call timeout now. So Jim Harbaugh's going to have more time to think it over, maybe bring Ben Mason into this game. What do you expect from the Wolverines here? 4th and 2, their starting left tackle is out of the game right now.
Well, right tackle.
Right tackle, correct.
Which is where they like to run the ball. And JBB, Michael Wainu are the two biggest guys on the offensive line. They're the dominant force in this running attack. And that's normally where Jim Harbaugh likes to go in short yardage situations. Well, now we're getting word that Bushel Beatty never even got checked by the trainers. There's no apparent injury. Interesting choice. Jim Harbaugh's just going with the backup Andrew Stuber, maybe just to give him some more reps here. Strange choice to start a guy and then take him out. Maybe that was just a courtesy for senior day that he even got to start. But interesting choice that in a game right now where Michigan trails that they're going with a backup.
Interesting idea there. It could be just a senior day honor right there. The referees blow the play dead, and Indiana has now taken a timeout right as Michigan took the field. Indiana did not like the look. They had too many men on the field, had a couple of players sprinting toward the sideline. They did not want to give up a cheap first down on 4th and 2 like that. And they call timeout.
Very interesting. Michigan came out. They were in kind of a spread look before Jim Harbaugh took his timeout, and then they come right back out with trips to the left. That's the field side right now. That could not have been what Indiana was expecting. They were probably thinking more in our direction. Michigan was going to come out with a big set, maybe Ben Mason and a few tight ends trying to power it up the middle for a first down, but instead Michigan looks like they're going to come right back out here in that trips formation. Very interesting. On a 4th and short situation, Michigan's going to spread the field here.
Indeed, Ben Mason remains on the sideline. Shea Patterson standing up in shotgun formation. Karan Higdon to his right. 3 wide receivers, trips to the left. They bring Donovan Peoples-Jones in motion. He now is out on the right sideline. They hand it off to Karan Higdon, who has a ton of space, gets forward and nearly wrestles his way out of a leg tackle, picks up the first down. Damian Willis Jr. finally wrestles Karan Higdon down after he had a huge hole to go down through, and it's brought down at the 33-yard line.
Yeah, well done there. It looked like Sean McCune was the tight end in there on that one. He was kind of offset in more of a wingback position there. He crosses the offensive front, and it looked like Indiana was expecting him to be a lead blocker there. Instead, he's on the opposite side of the field.
Patterson under center throws to Donovan Peoples-Jones, who throws to Zach Gentry, who is pass interfered with. Donovan Peoples-Jones will get no credit for that great throw, even though he's going to give Michigan a big first down here. Really interesting play design there. Shea Patterson from under center has Donovan Peoples-Jones run behind him, being the lone receiver out right. They throw it to Jones. throws a pretty good ball to Gentry, and the defensive back was never turned around. It looked like Andre Brown Jr. there. The junior out of Decatur, Georgia, never turned around, tackled Gentry. Easy call for the officials there, and Michigan is going to have 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line.
Yeah, very fortunate for Michigan that they end up with the pass interference there, but it didn't look like Indiana was fooled at all by that trick play. They had guys in coverage there, but what a throw by Donovan Peoples-Jones. He never really had his feet set. He put the ball where it needed to be there. That was a long bomb, too.
Chris Evans, the lone back in the game. Shea Patterson from under center hands it off to Evans, who has space down the middle. Fighting to stay up at the 15-yard line is brought down, so it'll be a 3-yard gain on 1st and 10. And as you mentioned, the trick aspect of that play didn't really work at all, but Zach Gentry's route and Donovan Peoples-Jones' throw, those were both pretty good. They were good enough to draw the pass interference call as the clock is rolling out here in the first quarter. Michigan's huddled up, going to the line of scrimmage right now. We'll see if we get another play in this quarter. 3 on the clock, 2, 1. Patterson snaps it, hands it off to True Wilson, but the referees blow the play dead. The quarter is over. Not sure if Patterson understood how little time there was left in the quarter on that one. That will take us to the end of the first quarter. Wolverines trail 7-3. What do you have to make of this one, Nate?
Well, can't say I expected Michigan to trail after 15 minutes in this one, but so far I feel like the problems have been on the defensive side. You've seen the two big runs for Peyton Ramsey. I mean, one, can't really put too much blame on this defense. Kwity Paye definitely thought that he just had him wrapped up. That was more of a miscommunication there. I really was surprised the refs didn't blow that play dead sooner, but his second run there, just nobody, absolutely nobody expected Peyton Ramsey, a guy who is a dual threat, who can take advantage when he has him. It just gave him all the room in the world to run. He took advantage. That's just something that this Michigan team can't allow.
Nate, do you want to take a guess as to when the last time Michigan trailed was?
In this season?
This season, the last time Michigan has trailed a game.
Well, maybe Maryland.
Yes, that is the correct call, and Wigan was down.
Man, I have no idea. Was it again? Was it a 7-3?
It was 7-3 at the end of the first quarter against Maryland back. Oh, how long ago was that? I believe you and I both had the call that second half, but that feels like so long ago now. Michigan was down 7-3. Michigan kicked the field goal, and then Maryland ran the kickoff back. Now, Maryland's a pretty good team. We saw they just very nearly beat Ohio State. They had about 10 times to put that game away. Never could quite do it.
Yeah, that was really all Maryland ever had against Michigan was their threat of the deep kick return. I feel like that's kind of the same thing that's happening here with Indiana. A couple of fluky plays where Peyton Ramsey's able to get loose, and maybe Michigan's giving a little bit too much ground to Stevie Scott, but again, it does feel very much the same, where it's very fluky here so far in this first quarter.
Indiana has outgained the Wolverines 116-103. Chris Evans gets the call again, fights forward for, we'll call, a 2-yard gain, brings up 3rd and 4 here, and this is right around where the last Wolverine scoring drive stalled. Peoples-Jones enters the game, as so does 2 fullbacks. Jared Wangler and Ben Mason have entered the field right now. Oliver Martin also in for the play. That's an interesting formation. We haven't actually seen the formation yet, but interesting package Harbaugh's called up. Ben Mason, the lone back, well behind Shea Patterson under center, and in an offset I formation. Wangler is also in the backfield. A double play action, wide open Zach Gentry in the end zone, and he drops it. Zach Gentry was all alone. That was reminiscent of the infamous Jackie Smith drops touchdown in the Super Bowl play.
I don't know if you can put that one on Zach Gentry right there.
Yep, the throw was behind him. That was more so on Patterson than Gentry. The ball, I will call it catchable. Gentry can't quite come down with it.
It was below and behind him. Gentry, especially when a guy's 6'8", very tough to go down to get a ball like that. And it did end up landing in his chest. He did have a chance to catch that one, but that one, if that ball's even close to being on target, that's an easy 6 points.
Jake Moody is the kicker, comes on and launches that one through the uprights. Another good-looking kick from Jake Moody, who was not even really the primary kicker for his high school team. Jake Moody, also from Northville, Michigan, was 5 for 7 in his career as a high school kicker.
Interesting.
Not really sure what to make of that. Jake Moody's looked good so far today. Looks like he has the range to make just about anything.
And certainly he's been the kickoff kicker. We know he has the ability to ball very far. It's not like he has no leg at all.
But going back to that incompletion on 3rd and 4, I mean, that trick play worked perfectly. Zach Gentry was all alone. But as you mentioned, Zach Gentry is 6'8". He has a tremendous catch radius. That ball was still in that radius. He was able to get his hands on that ball, but he was sliding down, couldn't focus, drops the ball. It's the Guess the Year game right now. Thriller is playing in the Big House. This is the year that Wayne Gretzky breaks the all-time scoring record in the NHL. They were playing Jack and Diane, that's a John Mellencamp song, an Indiana alum. Wonder if that's a deliberate decision. 1982 was the year. If any of you folks at home listening got it from the hints I read, congratulations to you. That's well before my time. I didn't have a clue.
I feel like I should have known when Thriller came out.
That's a good point.
But I did not. I'm ashamed to say. But to get back to the game here, yeah, that's a play right there. Shea Patterson didn't really have any pressure. He was rolling out. No one was in his face. He had Zach Gentry, who couldn't have been more wide open and just couldn't make the throw. That's tough to see coming off a game where it seemed like Jim Harbaugh was kind of daring Shea Patterson or forcing him into making some pretty uncharacteristic plays, kind of trying to push his upper limits, calling up strange plays, knowing that Rutgers wasn't necessarily a tough opponent. He was trying to build up Shea Patterson's confidence. Well, we're really hoping he was going to be able to carry that over into this game. Indiana secondary that has plenty of weak spots. I could have thought he had a chance to really pick that up, and was able to go into that Ohio State game very strong, but so far 4 of 7, 28 yards, just hasn't looked all that comfortable.
So Jake Moody, who is now the kicker, at least in short situations, I'd be interested to see what would happen on maybe a 50-yard field goal. Jake Moody is going to kick off here. This game is 7-6. That's interesting. I don't really know what else to say about it. Not the score I would have thought 45 seconds into the second quarter. Moody kicks it off. That one will not be returned. Fair catch signaled. Now that one was kind of shallow. It was caught around the 7-yard line. Indiana's kickoff returner just has no interest in running any of these back. Mike Majette. Fair catches 2 balls that would have landed in the field of play. So Michigan's defense got embarrassed on that last drive, I'd have to say. Stevie Scott had a ton of yards. We'll see what they can do now. Peyton Ramsey from the shotgun formation hands it off to Stevie Scott. He has room to run again. Couldn't keep his balance, though, and falls just before the first down marker. It will be 2nd and 1 from the 34-yard line.
Right there again, Stevie Scott isn't doing necessarily anything all that special. He's just finding the hole and running through it. This Michigan defensive line's got to tighten down.
Ramsey is able to roll out to his right and find Ty Freifogel open downfield for the first down. That's another short completion. About 4 yards down the field, he's able to scoot forward for a few extra yards and run out of bounds. 1st and 10 from the 40 here. The Indiana offense is looking as good as anyone all season long against the Wolverine defense, save that Notre Dame game. A handoff to Stevie Scott once again, and this time he is wrestled down for only a short gain. Aubrey Solomon in on the tackle. The first time in a while he's been contacted at the line of scrimmage.
And he's still able to muscle forward for 3 yards. So far, very impressive performance for Stevie Scott here. against the Michigan run defense that has just dominated this entire season.
Scott is a big body, 6'2", 236 pounds. A flag is thrown. Looks to be a false start. They do indeed confirm it's a false start going against number 62, Brandon Knight, of the Indiana offense. So that's going to be a costly error for the Indiana Hoosiers. 2nd and 12 against the Michigan defense. You can't give them any help at all. In the shotgun, Ramsey hands it off once again, and he is pushed backward. That looked to be Ronnie Walker. Devin Bush leads a gang tackle. Maybe about 5 Wolverines went to the ground alongside Ronnie Walker. That'll be another loss of yardage. We'll call it a loss of 2, and Indiana is moving backward right now, 3rd and 14. They do a quick snap. Ramsey's running for his life from Josh Uche. Throws downfield. The flag is down, though, after Ramsey throws that one away, incomplete. And the flag is in the backfield.
Looks like Chase Winovich drew a hold on that one.
That's what I had to figure. The flag was not only thrown in the backfield, but away from the quarterback. It is holding called against Wes Martin of Indiana. That penalty is declined. 4th and 14, and the Michigan defense looks the best they have all game on that drive.
This Indiana offense definitely has the ability to make plays, but against a defense as good as Michigan, you really have to expect once they ramp it up, Indiana's going to really struggle here.
So this will be Donovan Peoples-Jones' first time to return a punt. Not a good one. It's a short one. Peoples-Jones does catch at the 33, breaks one tackle, jumps out of another, and ends up being brought down at the 40-yard line. A good-looking return for him. Makes something out of nothing. Michigan will take over with their best field position of the game. Well, tied for it. That's going to be 2 drives starting at the 40.
And my goodness, was that a risky return there? I really thought he was going to fair catch that one. He was staring down an Indiana gunner, still able to catch it and break a tackle immediately as soon as he caught that ball. That was really an impressive, about as impressive as a 7-yard return gets.
He is extremely confident for a second-year player. Of course, he has all the talent in the world, shows it off there for a 7-yard gain. A couple of scores across the country. Notre Dame is just prevailing, 29-0, demolishing Syracuse, and I think that really brings into question just how good the ACC is really. That's probably the second best team in that conference. They're getting steamrolled by the Irish, who of course are a great team.
And especially, we saw that Syracuse team earlier in the year. It's been a while, and both teams have changed a lot since then, but they gave Clemson pretty much all they could handle. I believe that was a game at Clemson as well. A team like Clemson, as much success as they've had in recent years, and if they're undefeated, they're certainly going to be in the college football playoff. But you really gotta wonder if they're as good as the recent national championship teams have been.
And of course, going back to that weekend that was so long ago, back in September, hard to criticize Clemson for that game when Michigan only beat Northwestern 20-17 back then. That was a 17-point deficit for the Wolverines. Biggest comeback, second biggest comeback in program history, biggest road comeback.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of those things. Teams change so much from the first 3 weeks into here we are now in the 10th week of the season, or excuse me, 11th. You can't really take all that much from that far away. But Notre Dame certainly looking excellent. They just keep looking better, I would say, every week.
Indeed, I really don't for a second buy any argument that Michigan in any way could deserve to be ahead of Notre Dame, even if they lost a game. Notre Dame beat Michigan, and yes, Michigan has improved tremendously as the year has gone along. But Notre Dame has a different quarterback now than they did back on September 1st. They have replaced Brandon Wimbush with Ian Book. Now, Wimbush did have a good game against the Michigan defense. It's the rest of the games he's played that got him in trouble. Notre Dame rolling right now. Another important score. West Virginia leads Oklahoma State 21-14 in Stillwater. The Wolverine offense takes the field. Ben Mason in an offset eye to the right of Shea Patterson. Karan Higdon immediately behind him. Higdon runs to his left. It's a completion and a catch for Tariq Black for the first time all year. It's a modest 4-yard gain for a guy who's typically a deep threat, but that's great for Tariq Black, getting his first reception of the year after coming back from a really frustrating injury early in the year.
And definitely, and may only be a 5-yard gain, but feels a whole lot more for a guy that's missed so much time, who was supposed to be a difference maker for this team. It's good to see him getting involved at all.
Shea Patterson in the shotgun. Karan Higdon is the back. Fires deep to Donovan Peoples-Jones, who just cannot quite make the catch. It was a bit too far for Peoples-Jones to bring down.
Again, Shea Patterson has just been a little bit off this entire game. I just simply overthrows Donovan Peoples-Jones there. He had the step. If he's hitting stride, that may even be a touchdown, but the second deep shot that Shea Patterson's taken where he's overthrown his receiver.
So a 3rd and medium for the Wolverines. They bring Peoples-Jones in motion. Trips to the right. Karan Higdon and Zach Gentry to the left. Patterson has some time. Finds Grant Perry for a first down. He is tackled in the upper right corner of that M at midfield. And the senior, getting his second catch of the day on Senior Day, establishes 1st and 10 from the 46. Clock continues to run. We have 11:30 to go here in the second quarter as Michigan looks to erase their first deficit going into the second quarter since back in October, early October. Patterson has Chris Evans now into the game to his right. Fakes the handoff and has a wide open Ronnie Bell in, still running and keep running with the man over his back. Ronnie Bell wore an Indiana defensive back all the way to the 14-yard line. It looked like he carried Jonathan Crawford, gave him a piggyback ride to the 14-yard line.
It's hard to tell if that was a straight play action or a run pass option. It really looked like Shea Patterson held that one in the belly of Chris Evans for a long time there before he pulled that one and delivered it to a wide open Ronnie Bell. Either way, terrific play by Shea Patterson. And
a great play by the true freshman. True Wilson now gets this call. No room there, has to cut to the very far left end of the field to scat forward for a modest gain. We'll call it 2nd and 8. Great play design there, though. Michigan hasn't run too many slants so far this year, but Ronnie Bell caught it in stride, had a lot of momentum going, and was able to get into the red zone. Worst case scenario for this drive for the Wolverines should be a lead, but they want to get their first touchdown of the game. Ben Mason is now the only back. It's a huge set here. 3 tight ends on the right side of the offensive line. They end up throwing it, though. Shea Patterson drops back, fires to Sean McHugh, and then that ball was just a bit out of his range. That'll bring up 3rd and 8.
That one was a beautifully thrown ball there, though, in my opinion. Shea Patterson kind of floated it up, put it up kind of on his back shoulder there. And right there, if that one's Zach Gentry, that one's probably a touchdown. If you've got a 6'8" guy right there, but just out of the reach of McHugh, and he's not quite the receiver that Zach Gentry or most of these other receivers for the Michigan offense are. But right there, perfectly, a ball thrown with a lot of touch right there to the back shoulder. That was a heck of a show by Shea Patterson.
Trips to the right on 3rd and 8. Shea Patterson looking to his right, now running for his life, rolling right, still running. Throws toward the end zone. That is caught before at around the 7-yard line. They are going to rule it complete, it looks like. Incomplete. That is before the sticks. And they call it incomplete, 4th and 8.
That one
looked like Grant Perry was the intended receiver. Well, it looked like Donovan Peoples-Jones in the end zone may have been the intended receiver. Perry pulled it out of the air but could not come down with it. So Jake Moody will re-enter the game, looking to convert his third 30-ish yarder. This one's a 31-yarder right now. Will Hart kneeling at the 21. Puts it through the uprights. That one looks great once more. Jake Moody having a great premiere as a college football kicker. 9-7, the Wolverines lead with 9:56 to go in this one. Graham Perry could not quite maintain possession of that ball while in bounds. Looked for a while like the referees were trying to spot that ball at around the 10. They eventually agree that it's an incompletion. 4th and 8, and this Wolverine offense, I praised them at the beginning of the game for how good their red zone offense has been so far this year. They have now had 3 drives stall in the red zone.
And credit to Jake Moody for capitalizing on each of his 3 field goal attempts. They've been short, but still we've seen Quinn Nordine have some struggles with that. Jake Moody's put him right in the middle of the uprights every time here. It's been a very pleasant sight to see. But yeah, as for the offense, it's been tough. And this is a team in Indiana. They play very conservatively, really on both sides of the ball. On defense, they sit back in the cover 2, just kind of let teams kind of dink and dunk it down the field the same way their offense plays. And you see once it comes down into the red zone, when there's less field, there's just no room to move once they sit back. And you see it happen, or you see real struggles here for this Michigan team. They're just not able to find the holes in the zones. And that was tough right there. I don't know if you can really put that one on Shea Patterson. Just looked like no receivers were able to find any daylight there. Shea Patterson extended that play, rolled out. That comes down to the receivers. They've got to make things happen, move around, find the soft parts in the zone, and give Shea Patterson a target. There really was no one on that one.
No, with all the time Patterson had, he couldn't find anyone downfield. It had been a very long time since Michigan made their last field goal. The last converted field goal for the Wolverines goes all the way back to the Wisconsin game. It's been a combination of finishing drives and just poor field goals from Quinn Nordine. Had that tremendously just ugly one against Michigan State in really bad kicking weather, where that ball hit the ground before it hit the kind of landed in the back of the end zone. That's how ugly of a kick that was. And then his field goal attempt got blocked against Penn State. And since then, Michigan just has not attempted a field goal. They've been completing all their drives. So Michigan might be a bit upset this one. It's not 21-7, but it is 9-7. Jake Moody 3 for 3 on 3 pretty short field goals. He will also kick this one off. This Michigan defense has not had a stellar game. Michigan only outgaining Indiana 152-132. Not the best game Michigan has had in a while, but still controlling this game. Moody sends this one off. Will also be returnable, and will be returned for once this time. No, the returner just stops. I'm not sure if he signaled fair catch. He must have. So Mike Majette, the returner, still just not having any interest in returning any kickoffs, which is probably smart. Teams that try to return the kickoff against Michigan usually end up starting their drives from behind the 25.
Yeah, and it seems like Jake Moody is just going to keep giving it to him further and further upfield, daring him to return it. Interesting game of chicken that seems to be going on here on Michigan kickoffs.
That's a good way to put it. Ramsey now from the backfield. Hands it off again to Stevie Scott. Doesn't get too much this time, maybe a 5-yard gain, and is met immediately by Josh Ross and a couple other tacklers. Josh Metellus and Kalik Hudson team up to bring down Stevie Scott, who already has 78 yards rushing. Ramsey steps forward in the pocket, has a man downfield who comes down with it. Luke Timian comes down with the ball, and that was just a fantastic throw and catch. Looked like an NFL receiver and quarterback combination right there. That's almost undefensible.
Absolutely, and that one, Timian stretches out for that one, falls back, catches that one. That was absolutely NFL-like for sure.
Stevie Scott gets the carry again. Rashawn Gary brings him down for a 3-yard gain. Tyree Cannell had pretty good coverage on that last completion. Not really anything he could have done there. That was just a perfect throw and catch. 2nd and 7 now from the Michigan 37. Ramsey drops back and is nearly intercepted. Flag flies though. Lavert Hill cut that route, nearly got there before Nick Westbrook. But there is a flag right around where the ball was thrown. Expect defensive pass interference, although I didn't really see anything on that play. The officials did though. Holding is called against Lavert Hill.
Yeah, grabbing him before the ball was thrown. You can see he gets a handful of jersey there, it looks like. That's a tough one, though. I don't know. Not a whole lot of contact there.
So this Indiana team has played the Michigan defense as well as anyone beside Notre Dame. And they now have 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. They're causing a lot of headaches for the Wolverines. They give it to Stevie Scott once more. He is met in the backfield and fights forward to make it a no gain. Devin Bush got in there very quickly. Chase Winovich gets credited with the tackle. You could also say Rashawn Gary got in there toward the end. It's been a real team effort right now to stop Stevie Scott. He's had a great game. Might get to 100 yards here before halftime. 8:30 to go in this second quarter. Peyton Ramsey calls an audible now. Looks to the sideline for some advice. Scott is still the running back. And they give it to him. He makes a great spin move to get around a tackler and turn what could have been a short gain into a medium one. 3rd and 5 now. Does a good job making it 3rd and manageable.
You can definitely see when Indiana runs the ball, nearly every time it's an option there for Ramsey. He can decide to pull it and run himself, and that is keeping this Michigan defense honest. They've got to watch the edge every time that Indiana hands the ball off, and it's giving just tons of room for Stevie Scott to just run right up the middle.
Indiana calls timeout. We might be able to give some credit there to the graphic designer for the Michigan big boards here. I don't know if you caught the sign, but it was just an all-black background with some white text and a pretty basic font, and it just said, "Attention Michigan fans, Indiana would like some silence. Please respond." I've never seen a get loud sign quite like that. Videos that football teams like to show their fans, either a player saying get loud, some kind of cool graphic involving sound waves or something, or an amplifier. I've never seen something just as kind of reverse psychology like that. I like it though, and maybe that's what made Indiana call the timeout. The big house got pretty loud right there. And now Indiana has only 2 timeouts to go in the first half. That might become important down the road here.
Definitely. Now we're going to have to see what this Michigan defense can do here on 3rd and 6. Got to figure Indiana's going to go through the air here. And it's going to probably be another underneath throw. Now, Michigan has done a pretty good job of limiting the underneath throws. That's really what this Indiana offense likes to do. They've been able to get yardage through unconventional means, at least for them, on the ground. They've had the one deep shot of Peyton Ramsey tucking and running for himself. But right here, you would think they'd go back to basics, do what they do well, their bread and butter. That would be a quick slant or a crossing route. Just got to be aggressive right here for this Michigan defense. The field's short. There's not a whole lot of room here for this Indiana offense to work with. They got to really tee off, play aggressive here, and just hope they make a big play.
It will be interesting to see what Indiana comes out with. They do not like to throw deep often, although it worked once today. Great throw and catch from Luke Timian. I would expect a real quick throw here. Indiana, we talked about after the first drive, their offense is really built to handle this Michigan defense. They're getting pretty close to 200 yards already. That's a number that few teams have been able to get to against the Michigan defense in a full 60 minutes. We have only been playing football for not even a full 22 minutes so far in this game. And this might be something for the Ohio State coaching staff to watch. They like to go a bit deeper and stretch the field, which is what Michigan likes to defend against. Indiana, though, is a team built to play this Michigan defense. They take the field now, and it's getting loud in the big house. Peyton Ramsey by himself in the backfield. Trips to the right, one man out super far right. Ramsey drops, is already running for his life from Khaleke Hudson, and throws a hopeless pass that was never going to be caught by anyone. Ends up hitting the first down marker. 4th down for the Hoosiers. This should draw our first sighting of Logan Justice beside the 1 extra point. He is 13 for 15 on the year. On field goals, he's 27 of 28 on extra points, 3 for 4 on field goals of over 40 yards. This one is going to be 41. He's only kicked 4 from this distance so far this year. So far from a gimme. We'll see what he does here. Snap is good. Kick looks good. And that's going to end up sailing through the uprights. Indiana recaptures the lead. And Michigan is trailing once again in this game, 10-9. This now marks the first occasion on the year where a team has come back against Michigan. Either Michigan trails the whole game or they make the comeback and never surrender the lead.
And this has been a heck of a performance here by Indiana on both sides of the ball. And they've been a team that has given Michigan a lot of struggles. And we know last year that big game went into, I believe it was triple overtime. Ended up winning from a Lavert Hill, either a Lavert Hill or a Tyree Cannell interception in overtime, sealed that one. But
I believe it was double overtime back in triple overtime in 2015, double overtime in 2017.
Okay.
The Hoosiers always play Michigan close in Bloomington.
Yeah, and it's a testament to what Indiana's been able to do. They've been really a team on the edge of bowl eligibility, but they always come in and play Michigan as good as any team in the nation. And it's something we figured that this Michigan team this year is a little bit different than recent teams. Would have thought they'd been able to come in here, take care of business at home in a quasi-night game here against Indiana, but struggling so far here.
It's already very dark. Another weird kickoff. That one could go out of bounds. That should not be returned, and that wisely is not. Berkeley Edwards decides not to return it, and the flag flies. Michigan will be getting great field position here. Indiana both teams, Indiana, I guess they decide they hate kickoffs. They don't want to kick off any returnable kickoffs. They don't want to return any kickoffs. Tom Allen, I guess, is just anti-kickoffs. He hates kickoffs. Let that be known.
Oh, and it's interesting because, and they have plenty of guys that can return kicks. I mean, they're pretty much their entire offense is made out of slot receivers, scat backs that all are shifty in open space. You'd think that getting guys out in open space on a kick return would be kind of a key play for them, but so far not been the case.
They fake a play action to Black, end up giving it to Chris Evans, who gets a 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6. Interesting play call there, a little bit of misdirection. So Michigan now has 7.5 minutes in this half. Might want to do a quick score here so they can play defense and get the ball again. Indiana will receive the ball to start the second half, so they're in very good position right now, are the Hoosiers. Played a really close game back in 2016 in the Big House last time they came here. Karan Higdon now in the backfield. Shea Patterson from under center hands it off to Higdon, who goes nowhere. After a bit of wrestling, is able to get the ball up to the 41, brings up 3rd and 4. And just a really good all-around game from Indiana, limiting Michigan in every way they can.
And I believe that's Karan Higdon's first carry of the second quarter. He's only got 8 carries so far here in the game, and he was kind of the main back there the first couple of drives, and since then Michigan's gone away from him, giving carries to True Wilson, Chris Evans, and really passing the ball more often than they're giving it to Karan. He had some success early on in the game.
A screen pass to Nico Collins, who moves along the right sideline and gets just enough to pick up the first down. Don't see too many screens from the Wolverines, but that one was quite effective. Patterson finds Nico Collins and gets the 4 yards that he needs plus 1 more. 1st and 10 now from the 46.
Yeah, good play. First time Nico Collins has been worked in. Oh, excuse me, that is a second catch. Did have a 14-yarder earlier in the game.
Shea Patterson has shared the wealth amongst his receivers so far today. They bring Grant Perry in motion. Shea Patterson now hands it off to Karan Higdon, who has some space and gets going quickly. Is brought down, though, in the Indiana secondary for a pretty good gain here. Goes down as a gain of 7. 2nd and 3 now from the Indiana 47. Damian Willis Jr. in on the tackle.
Right there, it seems like every time Karan Higdon gets the ball, he's able to run downhill, get some pretty good yards. I'm surprised Michigan's not going to him more often.
I formation for the first time today. Ben Mason, the fullback, and Karan Higdon, the halfback. Shea Patterson from under center gives it to Karan Higdon, cuts back inside and picks up the first down plus a little bit of change. Wolverines moving the chains here with 5.5 to go in the second quarter.
A little bit of a counter action right there. Shea Patterson turned, faked like he was going to give it to Karan Higdon going off the left tackle, cuts it over to the right side, was able to swerve his way through the Indiana defensive interior and pick up that first down. Heck of a play right there by this Michigan offense.
Shea Patterson back in the shotgun formation, and True Wilson is the back to his right. It's a very tight formation. Donovan Peoples-Jones and Tyreek Black stacked up to the left. Patterson looks to throw, fires deep, and that's Nick Eubanks wide open for the touchdown. He is gone. That was a lot like the Nico Collins touchdown against Rutgers last week. There was no one near him, and Eubanks is in the end zone right now getting hugged from a bunch of teammates. I believe that's his first touchdown on the year. He had to wait a while for his teammates to catch up to him and join him in the celebration. I mean, there was no one near him. It looked like he had the plague, and everyone was just trying to keep as far away from them as they could. Easy touchdown for Nick Eubanks. It's not going to get much easier than that for him.
That was absolutely beautiful play design right there. Eubanks and Gentry both had their hands in the ground, lined up as tight ends on the right side. They both go downfield. There's only one safety over the top right there. Gentry goes right, Eubanks goes left.
And now Michigan's going to go for two. Shea Patterson takes the snap, has a wide open Nick Eubanks. They go to him again, but he cannot come down with it. That ball was a bit overthrown, but also catchable. Another one of those throws here where just not quite 100% performance from both the receiver and the quarterback. Michigan. The score is now 15-10. Michigan can't make it a full touchdown lead.
And that's the smart play right there. You got to go for two in that situation. But on that touchdown play, though, Eubanks and Gentry both running downfield at the safety. They split off one way or the other. One of them was going to be wide open. The safety decides to stick with Gentry. That's what led to Eubanks being wide open right down the middle of the field. And right there, I don't know if that was too bad of a pass by Shea Patterson. He put it up where Eubanks could get it. He's a big target. Just goes off his fingertips right there. That's a play you'd normally expect him to make.
Indeed, so the offense not firing on full cylinders right now. Just always one thing they can touch up on every drive, never quite perfection. They're going to have to be at their best form against Ohio State, although this Ohio State team has really never had it together at any game this year. If there was ever a time for that Ohio State Buckeye team to bring it together, it is next week in Columbus. So Michigan will have to bring their A game. Right now, they have not brought it. It's been a B game so far for the Wolverines if I had to grade them. Jake Moody kicks it off. I would doubt this one's going to be returned. Majette still has no interest in returning it. Nick Eubanks is also 6'5", like fellow tight end Sean McCune, who stand 3 inches shorter than Zach Gentry. Maybe that's been the problem on a couple of these throws. Just not the catch radius that Patterson is used to.
Yeah, you can definitely see where that's coming into play, but still, a guy that's 6'5" should be able to put it where they can catch it. That's bigger than your normal target.
Certainly is. Eubanks had the big moment, couldn't quite follow it up with the 2-point conversion. And wow, the Big House has gotten loud here. Their defense is playing now with a 5-point lead. Ramsey taking over from the 25-yard line, takes the snap, looks to throw, has some time to find a man, finds one at the 30 who makes a great cut, beats Devin Bush and gets forward to the 34-yard line. That brings up 2nd and 1. Nick Westbrook had the reception just 5 yards down the field. That's where Indiana likes to throw it. Make it real easy for Peyton Ramsey. 3rd and 1 now. And on a bit of a broken play, they are able to get a carry off to the 40-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Hoosiers. 4:20 to go in the second quarter.
And to go back to that pass play, that was very strange there. It looked like the Michigan defense was in zone coverage, but everyone was in their zone about 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage. They left the underneath throws wide open.
Stevie Scott is wrapped up in the backfield for no gain. That's a great thing to hear for the Wolverine fans. He's had a really big game, up to 85 yards already. Didn't get any more, though, on that play. Brings up 2nd and 10. Michigan would love to be able to stop Indiana right here and get another quick score before halftime. Go up by at least more than 7 points before Indiana takes the ball to start the second half. Ramsey takes a snap, hands it off to Scott again, who goes over the pile to get 2 yards. There was nowhere to run, left, right, or straight ahead, so Stevie Scott chose to go above Michael Dwumford and Rashawn Gary. Gets 3 yards, 3rd and 7.
And now Indiana on a 3rd and long. They're going to have to pass the ball. They're coming out with the empty backfield again. You got to think these Michigan pass rushers are licking their chops.
Empty backfield for Peyton Ramsey. Pocket collapses. He has to step forward. He's going to run for it, and he dives for the first down marker. It depends on the spot. He dove right in front of that first down marker, so that makes it easier for the officials. He was running along the sideline while being chased by Kwity Paye. If you ask me, I think he got it. And they do move the chains, 1st and 10. Second time now Ramsey has rushed for a first down on 3rd and long.
And now Kwity Paye was actually sitting back, kind of playing a spy there. He cannot let Ramsey get to the outside of him right there. That's on him.
Handed off to Stevie Scott again, who is patient, finds the hole to get a 1-yard gain. Indiana doing a really good job taking their time, burning the clock, and making sure Michigan is unlikely to see the ball with a good amount of time here in the second half. Indiana gets the ball to start the next half. 2.5 to go, 2nd and 8. Ramsey looks to throw deep, has a man in coverage, and he's got it. He runs out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. The ball will be placed at the 8. Nick Westbrook with the huge catch, and Indiana is not going away without a fight. 1st and goal, from the 8-yard line. Brandon Watson was in on the coverage. They have trips to the right and Stevie Scott immediately to Ramsey's right. They hand it off to Stevie Scott, goes nowhere, wrapped up for no gain. This Michigan defense is going to have to step up and make a big play soon. Indiana is going toe-to-toe right now with the Wolverines.
And that might be a play right there. We know that these Indiana wide receivers are big. They're deep threats, but that's normally a throw that Peyton Ramsey just doesn't make. When he's making throws like that, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Ramsey doesn't like something, looks back to the sideline, sends a quick message to all of his linemen. Ramsey surveys, fires to the left into the end zone. That ball is caught. That should be a touchdown for the Hoosiers. Ty Freifogel gets his 3rd touchdown of the year, and the Hoosiers retake the lead. Expect them to go for 2 here. No, the kicking unit is on the field. And Michigan right now is on upset alert. David Long was in on the coverage. Ty Freifogel had 3 inches on him, though, and was able to make the catch.
And that right there was absolutely a perfect back shoulder throw there by Peyton Ramsey. He is on point here today.
The kick is up. It is good. 17-15. Indiana leads. 1:33 to go. I think there's a lot of pressure on Michigan to score here and at least recapture the lead because Indiana gets the ball back to start the next half. And if Indiana has a 2-point lead, go down the field, score a touchdown, Michigan is in hot water in the second half at home. It is worth noting, 2 years ago, it was nearly just a totally symmetrical situation. Michigan was 9-1. Ohio State was 9-1. Ohio State won that week. Michigan hosted Indiana before going into Columbus. Michigan ended up winning a tight one. Final score was 20-10. Michigan trailed for large stretches of that second half. That was the Snow Angel game where the heavens really opened up there in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter and just rained down. We had snow earlier in the day. Don't know if we're going to get it later. But Michigan's in trouble at home against Indiana yet again. It's going to be 4 years in a row now where Indiana really gives Michigan a lot of trouble. And this is a very good team. They're undefeated outside of the Big Ten. 2-5 in conference play. That really goes to show how strong this Big Ten is.
Yeah, and they beat a good Virginia team as well. It was a tight one, but Virginia ended up being a They were a top 25 ranked team for a few weeks earlier on in the season. Since then, they've taken a few losses, but certainly a good win nonetheless.
It's a pooch kick. We'll call it an onside kick, and I really don't like that call there. I know they want to limit any Michigan returns, but that burns 1 second, and it gives Michigan the ball at the 40-yard line. That you could call that was an onside. I think that might have been part of the intention. I
think that's what they're trying to do, but they've been pooch kicking every single time. It's hard to really catch a team off guard when you stick with what you've been doing for most of the game.
That was by far their most shallow one. Very interesting attempt there, but that gives Michigan the ball at their own 39-yard line here with 92 seconds to go. Shea Patterson, play action, running for his life now, gives it to Chris Evans, who makes a cut, does a good job to avoid a loss, ends up getting about a 4-yard gain. It looked like that was on the kick return, if you can call it a return. Peter Bush caught it and then immediately surrendered himself, or Jacob West rather. 315's on this roster. It was Jacob West who caught it. Shea Patterson now drops back and has Zach Gentry wide open down the seam. Makes a cut. He's still up at the 20, the 15. They bring him down. If he could have escaped that last tackle, he would have been gone. But a great play there. Michigan's at the 15-yard line, still with 1 minute and 1 second to go. And Indiana is paying dearly right now for their strange kickoff technique. Injury timeout now. An Indiana player is down. Looks to be defensive back, number 29, I think, Khalil Bryant. Khalil Bryant is the Indiana Hoosier who made the tackle on Zach Gentry and is down right now. That's a huge player who he tackled.
Well, tough to see a guy go down in a position like this. I really never want to see a guy get hurt, but right now, Michigan really cooking on offense here. How about that play by Zach Gentry? Able to make a safety miss in the open field there. I believe that was Jonathan Crawford. He just juked right out of his shoes immediately after making the catch. Absolutely love to see the agility out of a 6'8 guy. That's the type of play you normally don't see a guy that big make.
That's amazing when a guy who weighs 262 pounds with such a high center of mass can juke out a safety who's nearly a foot shorter than him. Zach Gentry having a great game. Honored here on Senior Day. He's not academically a senior. That might be a nod to the fact he could be going pro at the end of this year. He's had a great year. I think certainly if he declares for the draft this year, he will be leaving. It is his 4th year with the team, so does deserve those Senior Day honors. Chris Evans, the back, gets the carry, has some space, and is able to fight forward to the 10-yard line. 41 seconds, and the clock is rolling. Michigan has only 1 timeout, had to burn some earlier. They're not going to take it yet. 2nd and 5 from the 10-yard line. Michigan has to go quick here. 33, 31. They give it to Chris Evans again. Fights forward, cannot get the first down, though. It's 3rd and 1, and now the timeout is called. 24 seconds to go. It's 3rd and short, but do you think Michigan can run right now?
Without a timeout now, I would say absolutely not, unless they're able to quickly run up to the line of scrimmage and get off a quick snap and spike the ball, but I would not risk it with only 24 seconds left on the clock here. I would think they're going to have to take a shot through the air, and really, I'm surprised they did not try to pass the ball at all there those last 2 plays, knowing they only had 1 timeout. Really poor clock management, in my opinion.
Indeed, not great use of the timeouts. They could still run here if it was on a 3rd and short situation had they had more timeouts. But a really good drive Michigan's drawn up here. The offense, you could complain about their ability to finish drives so far today, but they've looked pretty good. But Indiana's put up 249 yards here in the first half on this vaunted Michigan defense, considered by most to be the best defense in the country. Indiana's looked very good against them so far. Ben Mason is on the field. Indiana has some confusion, have to bring 2 guys off the field, and they have to call timeout to avoid a too many men on the field penalty. Lucky for them, they probably don't need to use that one this half.
That is absolutely incredible that now, for the 2nd time this game, Indiana, coming off a timeout, was just absolutely completely discombobulated, had no idea what they were doing, had too many men on the field. That is really a waste of 2 timeouts now for Indiana, coming off of a timeout, just having no idea what they're doing.
Not a great look at all for the Hoosiers. They've been nearly flawless this game, playing a great game against the number 4 team in the country. Right now, though, they're in pretty good shape, but they would really love to go into halftime with a lead. That's unlikely. With any luck, though, they could be up. They could be only down by 1 and get the ball. Quick couple of score updates. West Virginia leads by 17 over Oklahoma State. Notre Dame leads 29-0. 5 minutes to go in that one. Not many great scores right now because the SEC is just taking a week off, playing some bad teams, and not doing that well against them. I think the SEC might take a hit in the rankings there. 3rd and 2. Here we go. Ben Mason still on the field. They give it to Ben Mason, who plows forward for the first down, but now Michigan has to operate quickly here. 19 seconds to go. The clock does stop for the first down, though. I would expect a spike. 17-16. The clock is running. 15-14. They're going to run a play. Patterson fires toward the end zone. McCune is tackled at the 1, though. Michigan cannot call timeout, and the clock will likely expire here. Michigan has to go quick. 3, 2, 1. The half is going to end. And that is just atrocious time management there. Why would Michigan not spike it to get the play they wanted? Why would you not throw to the end zone?
Yeah, you gotta
Indiana is just giddy right now. All their players celebrating as they sprint to the locker room.
Gotta think Shea Patterson thought he was going to catch the Indiana defense by surprise there by actually running a play instead of spiking it right there. But if you're going to do that, you've got to throw it into the end zone. He had a chance there if he just held on for another second or so. Sean McCune would have been in the end zone when he threw the ball, but instead...
it's very hard to tell a player to go against their instincts, but Sean McCune probably should have dropped that ball.
Certainly.
That takes 3 points off the board right there, and Michigan is in hot water right now. This game doesn't matter for the Big Ten standings. Michigan, it's going to come down to who wins the Ohio State game. That should be the ultimate goal for the Wolverines right now, is win the Big Ten. Something could happen that could hurt you in regards to the college football playoff, but not a great look right now for the Wolverines. They got to win this game if they want to stay alive for the college football playoff, especially with the threat of maybe Georgia beating Alabama in the college football playoff champion in the SEC championship game. I think Michigan should try to not worry about the SEC. They do things like schedule the Citadel, schedule Massachusetts, schedule other FCS teams this time. It's time for the rest of the country to just ignore that. Worry about winning your conference. Right now, Michigan in hot water, though. They want to get to 10 wins already. Don't know what to say about this one, really, but Michigan not looking their best right now.
Absolutely, they are not looking their best. But if we know one thing, it's that Jim Harbaugh and Don Brown are absolutely experts at making halftime adjustments. And you got to think, really, the defense has looked flat so far here in the first half. You got Don Brown's probably going to get in that locker room, coach them up, have them ready to go here in the second half.
So Michigan in upset alert right now. It was a really interesting half. The first time fans here in the Big House have really had any good second half football to watch. Indiana for that. It's been just all blowouts so far, every single game here in the Big House. Penn State, who's ranked 14th and I think is even better than that, came here, got blown out 42-7. Not going to be an autopilot game for the Wolverines. Ohio State had to survive an overtime game, but they were a bit fortunate at times to stay in that one. And Michigan now trailing going into the half, and Indiana offense that they have really struggled to slow down is going to get the ball to start the second half. It'll be a tight one. Alex Drain and Jeremy Parks will have the call here. We'll take a break now for the halftime show. As always, we wish you a good day and go blue. Make sure to tune in for our second half coverage in a tight game in the Big House. First time we can say that in a while.
We are back here now for the second half of action between the Michigan Wolverines and the Indiana Hoosiers. I'm Alex Drain, joined by Jeremy Parks, and not quite the first half that people were expecting, but got to play the second half anyway. Michigan trails Indiana 17-15, just about 2 minutes to the second half. What does Michigan have to do to change the way things are going on?
Well, I think, Drain, as you saw throughout the first half, perhaps not wanting to show what's left in the playbook with one game left, a big one at Ohio State next weekend. Perhaps just a little bit of ignorance on the sideline, not sure, but the play calling has been very vanilla, very plain Jane, a lot of easy run plays, a lot of very predictable showings for Michigan here on the offensive side of the ball in the first half. Also, on the defensive side of things, the blitz package is not getting home in the first half, and when they did, the pocket would collapse, giving a lot of room for Peyton Ramsey to take off and run. So a lot of yards on the ground for Indiana, but Michigan going to have to buckle down here on both sides of the ball. We know they're good at halftime adjustments once they get into the locker room, but we're just going to have to sit back and see what the Wolverines can do here with, again, not the Big Ten championship game on the line, but definitely a spot in the college football playoff.
Yeah, Michigan's been very hesitant to do a lot of interesting things, but the fact is they have to realize there is a game to play here because they have not played like they respect Indiana, and Indiana's leading. I mean, the Hoosiers have played a good game. Peyton Ramsey's made some big throws, but he's also had way too much time to throw. Compared to the Penn State game where Michigan was just attacking McSorley play after play, Michigan hasn't been particularly close to sacking Ramsey outside of the first attempt of the game when Kwity Paye kind of let Ramsey go. Otherwise, he's been able to throw it away if he needs to, but quarterback contain's been an issue too.
Michigan, again, also struggling to finish drives offensively. 3 field goals in the first half, almost all of those getting deep inside the red zone, and then again bungling a really prime scoring opportunity right before the half. Got the ball down to the 15-yard line of the Hoosiers, courtesy of a 42-yard completion to Zach Gentry, and then getting it all the way inside the 5-yard line, but poor clock management as they threw a little out route that stayed in bounds to Sean McCune, and that ended the half. They were not able to get off a last play.
So Michigan will kick off to Indiana to start the second half, and you have to think this first drive is going to set the tone in a lot of ways. Jake Moody still doing the kickoffs. Quinn Nordine has been replaced in every facet of the kicking game. It used to be Nordine as the place kicker and Moody the kickoff guy. Today, Moody's been doing both. His kickoffs have been fine. Not a single one has been returned. Indiana has been very willing to take the fair catches even when the balls have been dropped on the 5- and 10-yard line. So we'll see if they change that approach at all as Moody stands at his own 26 and he runs up and boots it away. This one's a good hard kick, going to go into the end zone. Takes a weird bounce, but is officially for the touchback. So the ball will be put on the 25.
And I think in a lot of these close games that Michigan has played in the first half so far this season, still going into the locker room, the tail was still in the tape in that you could see Michigan was statistically outplaying whoever it was on the given day. But going into the locker room here, the total yardage, 276 for the Wolverines, 249 for the Hoosiers, and that big gashing number, 144 yards on the ground for Indiana. They are by no means slacking behind Michigan here.
So out they come, Peyton Ramsey in the shotgun, standing at his own 20, ball at the 25. He's just going to give it off, and Stevie Scott goes right into the pile, where he is wrapped up for maybe a gain of 1. Looked like Tyreek Cannell in on that play.
Trying to show a little action on the handoff there is Peyton Ramsey. Not quite as good at showing faking pass on those Henderson, but
here's the
well
tempo. They're going to hike it quickly. Ramsey throws, and it's incomplete. Behind the intended receiver. Looked like Nick Westbrook over the middle, but that one was not terribly accurate.
He had converging coverage from Lavert Hill as well as Josh Ross out there. Threw him off as that ball came in behind.
And the pocket was starting to get tighter, but wasn't quite there. Out comes Michigan's blitz package, and we'll see if they can hold the pocket because there are no backs there. It's 5 wide and just Ramsey. This has been problematic for Michigan today. Ramsey will take the snap on 3rd and 9. He drops back. He's in trouble. It's going to be in some pressure. Throws underneath, looking for a running back, and it falls at his feet. Incomplete, and it's a 3 and out.
Hot in pursuit there was Michael Dwumfor. Couldn't get home, but a smart play there by Ramsey to kind of dump it right at the feet of his tailback coming out of the backfield.
Trying to see the number on who that was intended for. Looked like Reese Taylor, who is formerly a backup quarterback, but he's run a fair bit this year. So out comes the punter, Hayden Whitehead, and he'll boot that one away. He hasn't done a whole lot. Peoples-Jones stands at his own 34, and that's where he'll make the fair catch. So Michigan, good first defensive series, but they need to show their offense has improved. It has not been the best day for Shea Patterson. He's missed some makeable throws.
And the big one, again, a wide-open Zach Gentry in the right corner of the end zone, right in the start of the second quarter there for Michigan. And again, that's one of the first throws this season, I think, where Patterson rolled out to his right on that bootleg and wasn't able to get an accurate pass off the back foot.
Yep, it was just a bit behind Gentry, who did reach back and almost make the catch. Probably should have made the catch, got two hands on it, but still not an accurate throw. So out comes Patterson. 14:25 to go in the third quarter. Wolverines trailing by 2. He's under center. In the backfield is Higdon. They're going to give it to Higdon. He's going to run to the right side, and just nothing happening right there.
And what they were trying to do there, that motion with Ronnie Bell, who was lined up wide outside to the right, trying to draw some of those defenders back to the left-hand side of the ball, trying to open up a little room for Higdon, but Indiana, well-disciplined, stays firm on that left-hand side, and they take down Higdon for just 1.
It's been a very predictable first down set in this game. Michigan has run on first down in the red zone every single time they've made it to the red zone, and here they start their drive with a 1-yard run. Michigan comes out with 4 wide receivers, and they've got a tight end. Patterson drops back. He's going to do a pump fake, and now he's in some trouble. Rolls out to his left towards the sideline, and he's just going to throw it away.
Looked like the first option there was going to be Grant Perry coming out of the slot, just tried to run a short curl route. It looked almost like Patterson couldn't see over the wall of defenders in front of him to get that ball out to Perry. He was in blanketed coverage.
Yeah. There was some pushback from the offensive line, but I mean, that was not a collapsing pocket in any way, and Patterson bailed too early. 3rd and 9 upcoming from the 34-yard line. Michigan has Evans to the left. He'll probably leave the backfield at some point. They bring the tight end across the formation. Patterson drops back. He's got time to throw. Now he's getting a little jittery. He's going to fire over the middle. Got it complete out to the 48-yard line. Donovan Peoples-Jones, actually midfield officially is where they're marking it. And it'll be a first down.
And the difference in those last 2 plays, when Shea Patterson gets nervous and rolls out of the pocket, it eliminates a lot of opportunities for his receivers to get open. It feeds them to one side of the field.
Yeah.
But when he sticks in there, holds the pocket, steps up, and makes a confident throw over the middle, there's a lot more room for those receivers to try and work out in open space.
Looks like Andre Brown Jr. on the tackle. Michigan out 1st and 10 from the 50. They have dual set backs next to Patterson. 2 wideouts and a tight end behind the line of scrimmage to the left. Patterson is going to throw it. He's got a man open. It's Nico Collins at the 40. He hits him, and he'll be pushed out of bounds at about the 37-yard line. Looked like Brown again on the coverage.
Yeah, you just left a huge cushion there for Nico Collins. He was about 4 or 5 yards off the play there. And that's an easy throw all day for the Wolverines pitch and catch for another first down.
Yeah, so now Michigan at the 37-yard line, quickly into Hoosier territory, trailing 17-15. A ton of time left in this game. We're only 2 minutes into this second half. 12:50 on the clock. Patterson in the shotgun. They bring Perry from the left side to the right. Put a lot of men at the line of scrimmage. Just 1 wide out. And Evans, who's going to get the carry. And he's got some open running room. And he'll be pushed down at about the 30-yard line, maybe the 31, depending on where they spot it. But that's a good chunk gain of close to 7 yards on first down.
Use that strong side of the line there. Opened up just a little bit of room offset to the left there. And like you said, a nice chunk gain on first down for the Wolverines. Chris Evans continuing to plow through. He hasn't seen a lion's share of the carries for the Wolverines, but trying to get a little breakout here to open up the second half.
Well, it sets up 2nd and 3, and they have the ability now to stretch it out down the field a little bit if they want it. 3 wide receivers to the left and a tight end to the right. Higdon next to Patterson, who does a play action. He's got Peoples-Jones on a slant, complete at about the 19, and he's wrestled down at the 16. Another nice little gain of about 14 yards, just picking up yardage in chunks right now, and Michigan's in the red zone.
And Peoples-Jones didn't really have to do a whole lot there. He showed a little bit of hesitation right at the start of the route. Didn't blaze right off the line of scrimmage there and opened up a little bit of room where he found it, and that's just some holes in the zone defense for Indiana.
Well, we mentioned Michigan's run it on first down every time they've had a first down in the red zone. We'll see if they do that again. They have Higdon to Patterson's left.
Watch Tariq Black in lone coverage out to the left.
And they're going to do a play action once again, throwing for Black in the end zone off his hands and incomplete. Maybe a touch high, and Black is a bit shaken up in the end zone, but he does get up and trots back to the huddle.
Well, he did take a hard hit there at the end of the play, but saw it right off the bat. That lone coverage out to the left, that's your star wide receiver, your most athletic receiver.
That's
and it looks like he just dropped it.
Yep, hit him right on the hands. Raheem Lane in coverage, but that would have been Black's first touchdown of the season after coming back from that foot injury at the start of the year, but just unable to hang on. Black gets yanked off the field. They put Collins and Peoples-Jones in there. Patterson under center with Higdon in the backfield. They bring Peoples-Jones across, and they are going to give it to Higdon. He's got some room if he can make a cut, and he does, and he'll be pushed down at about the 10. So a solid 6-yard pickup, and it sets up 3rd and short.
And he beat the initial contact there. I think it was from Damon Willis. Would have been dropped down right near the line of scrimmage, but able to keep those feet churning. Went for the leg tackle, couldn't get it, and he bursts forward for a gain of 6.
We do have an injured Hoosier down on the play, laying at about the 8-yard line. It's a number in the 90s, and I can't tell which number it is.
See if we can check it out here on the replay television up here in the booth.
There's about 3 members.
Looks like it might be.
It looked like 92.
95, 92.
92, Alfred Bryant. That'd be my guess.
And if it's not, I thought I saw a 5 there, which would be Brandon Wilson, also defensive lineman, a senior.
They've got him on the screen. He's being helped by 2 Hoosiers medical staff. Yeah, it is 92, Alfred Bryant. 2 Hoosiers folks in red jackets, and then a 3rd guy standing in a blue jacket looking from above as they're helping Bryant to his feet. And the crowd gives him a cheer as it is officially fully dark here at the Big House.
A backup end on the line for the Hoosiers, and likely to see Gavin Everett see the lion's share of the time on that left end of the line now for Indiana. Bryant was in the backup position to Everett.
Well, this is an important down right here because Michigan does not want to have to settle for yet another red zone field goal. 3rd and 4 from the Indiana 10. You need to get a touchdown on this drive.
Without a doubt, and especially after bungling that last opportunity right before the half. You left 7 points on the field, at least 3, and several other opportunities here earlier in the game where Michigan has settled for 3 points. Jake Moody has done a good job on those short field goals, but Michigan needs some points here.
Now we got a timeout for Indiana. Jeez, oh, Pete. I mean, Indiana now has burned 3 timeouts of their 4.
That wasn't for too many men, though.
It wasn't too many men.
Those first 2 were too many men.
But 3 of their 4 timeouts today have come off of long stoppages.
Yes.
The other 2 were on Michigan timeouts. And then this one, I mean, that was like a 2-minute injury delay.
The only thing that you can think at that point is maybe Indiana's getting cold feet as soon as they see Michigan's formation as they come out of those long stoppages. But there wasn't really anything special there as Michigan lined up with Patterson in the shotgun. He had Higdon to his left and 3 receivers right. Nothing unique about that.
No.
Might have not liked the coverage that they had picked up on that.
And in the second half, timeouts are always valuable. Never want to give
valuable
them up
and
for free.
vulnerable.
Yeah, never want to give them up for free.
We are in the media timeout here, and it's the 3rd quarter honoring the veteran of the game. It is Rick Boehm tonight, our veteran of the game. Was a Vietnam veteran, a prisoner of war from Milan, Michigan. A POW who made it home. And a rousing round of applause here from roughly 12,000 probably tonight. We haven't gotten the official attendance yet.
Student section at the top was sparse at the beginning, but it looks like it's filled in a bit. It's hard to tell. There's not a whole lot of good lighting on that corner of the stadium. We had some lighting issues up here in the first half. 2 circuits went out, and we lost the lights on this 6th level of the press box.
The lights apparently also did go out in the writers' room as well. If you follow your favorite Michigan beat writers on Twitter,
yep,
might have mentioned that as well.
But they got it fixed pretty quickly, which was good to see.
Student section not quite full again tonight. It is a little chilly outside, and I'm presuming a lot of Michigan students thinking this one was just a get-me-over game to the big one in Columbus next weekend, but still probably full up to about the last 10 rows of the student section in the corner.
Updating the national scoreboard, Northwestern did defeat Minnesota 24-14. They've already got their trip to Indianapolis booked. They advanced to 7-1 in the Big Ten. I believe they have Illinois next week, I think. They should get to 8-1 in the Big Ten, 8-4 overall after going 0-3 in non-conference play. Penn State, very underwhelming game in Piscataway against Rutgers, winning just 20-7.
You mentioned Northwestern as well. Going to have Illinois next week. Illinois was getting ham-blasted at halftime against the Iowa Hawkeyes, 35-0, as they went into the locker room right before we got underway.
Ran a fake kneel for no reason at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Here we go. Patterson in the pistol with Higdon behind him. He brings his tight end McCune in motion, and they are going to give it to Higdon. He's got the first down, pushing past the 6-yard line, and he's right there. That'll be a first down.
He got the first down, but I hate that play call.
Yeah.
What are you doing running out of the shotgun in a 3rd and 4 in the red zone?
It's been a very conservative play calling game.
Something I haven't seen a lot of from Michigan so far this year, but again, you're starting out in the gun. You're setting your run already 3 yards behind where you want to get it. Makes no sense.
I likened it to kind of playing with your hand tied behind your back. Michigan just has not looked like they are playing at full strength, that they really, again, respect Indiana.
This is a fade look here, it looks like, for Michigan potentially.
Yep. Patterson is going to give it off, though, to Mason. He goes forward for 1 yard to the 4. They had double wide receivers set up on the right side of the field in single coverage. You could think that was going to be a pick play and sending one to the corner, but they decided to just give it to Ben Mason for a 1 yard pickup.
The surest 1 yard on the football field, Bench Mason. Gotta love a team with a fullback. Good Midwestern football. A staple of the Harbaugh way of running things.
So 2nd and 4 from the 4-yard line. Goal officially. They're going to do a little play action. Patterson throws to the end zone. Not open, but there is going to be a flag. Looks like pass interference against Gentry, who is the receiver. Trying to see which defensive back that was. Looked like number 9, Jonathan Crawford.
Yep. Surprised that flag didn't come from the back judge, who was right on top of it. That flag, first one I saw, came from the corner. But that's clear as day. Never made a play on the ball. Hands inside on Gentry.
They say number 3. That does not sound right. That looks like number 9 or number 43, either one.
Looks like they did put it on 43,
yeah.
Damon Willis.
They were both in the area. 43, David Willis. So it'll be placed on the 2 because the foul occurred in the end zone.
Fresh set from the 2. Michigan still struggling to find the end zone.
I formation. Mason and Higdon behind Patterson. And Patterson is going to give it off to Higdon. He's got the room. He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan. With 9:44 remaining in the 3rd quarter, Michigan retakes the lead. Now up 21-17 with an extra point coming.
That's a touchdown run we've seen about 10 times this season for Michigan. You put Ben Mason in at fullback. He plows forward, making the blocks and a little bit of room for Higdon to pick up the 2 yards he needed to get to pay dirt, and Michigan back on top.
So out comes Jake Moody for another extra point attempt. He's attempted 1 previously in this game. The other one, they decided to go for 2 and didn't get it. Snap out, the hold is good, the kick is up, and it is right through. So Moody bringing some consistency that Michigan was lacking with Nordine's erratic behavior. Higdon, that's his 10th touchdown of the year and the 27th of his career.
And now Michigan back in the lead by 5. They had one good defensive drive to open up the half. They'll have to keep sticking it to Indiana to keep in the lead and see this one out. But that was a pretty bread and butter drive for Michigan. A good combination of pass and run. Didn't like all the play calls there, especially down in the red zone, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah, and it wasn't without some issues. I mean, Black dropped what would have been a touchdown. There were still some kinks, but overall, a pretty solid string of plays there for Michigan to take the lead back, but it's going to require defensive consistency because they've taken the lead a couple times in this game previously and just were unable to protect that lead, unable to get the stops they needed. They're going to have to show that they can do that. Had a good first drive to start this half, but they need to keep that defensive pressure going.
And in the media timeout, as always, a reminder, first of all, a thank you for those of you tuning in with us on WCBN Sports, both on youtube.com/WCBN Sports and WCBNSports.org. Feel free to like or subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get all the alerts from all our Michigan sports coverage across South Campus and across the country, as we trekked a lot of miles out to Rutgers last weekend and back.
Mr. Brightside now sounds down as the final home game of the season. Last time we're going to hear this for about 10 months.
You can always sound off as well in the live chat on YouTube. Let us know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Had a shout from Seoul, South Korea last week at Rutgers.
Yes, I saw that.
So let us know where you're listening from. Only if it's somewhere cool. I mean, if it's Ann Arbor,
I had a teacher in October, right before fall break. The GSI asked the class if anyone was going anywhere fun, and someone said they were going to Atlanta. And the GSI responds with, I asked if it was anywhere fun.
You just get stuck in traffic in Atlanta. They've got two things. They've got Coca-Cola and they've got a busy airport.
That is correct.
I do like that they put the phone flashlights out for Mr. Brightside here. It looks cool in the nighttime.
So 9:44 remaining in the third quarter. Michigan will kick off. Moody out to do it once again as the phone flashlights are all around. They didn't play all the lights this time, but they are out all the same. Moody will stand from the middle of the field at his own 26, and he'll run up and boot it from the right hash. It's a line drive kick that will land about 5 yards deep in the end zone for a touchback.
Couple of great shout-outs already on the locations too, Drain. Juneau, Alaska. Love Alaska. Beautiful country.
Oh, wow.
Looks like a troll saying they're listening from Zanzibar.
Unless they are listening from Zanzibar, and that would be quite the accomplishment.
No, I think I know the owner of that account. Several folks in Columbus. We will see you next weekend for the noon kickoff from the Shoe. That one's going to be for all the marbles.
Yep.
California as well, Tennessee. Shout out to all of you tuning in with us here on WCBN Sports.
So out we come. Ramsey getting ready to go. He's got a back to his left, 4 wide receivers as usual. Indiana really spreading it out, and he's going to hand it off. I believe that's to Scott, and just nothing happening there. Brought down after a gain of maybe 1 or 1.5. Running to the right side of his line.
One of these days, I know that Peyton Ramsey is not a fast quarterback, but I think he might have an opportunity to take one of those, keep it, and get to that open left side, because he's got a lot of green in front of him every time they run those offsets.
Ramsey running the tempo once again. He throws over the middle. Got a man complete at the 35. Tackled at the 39. Looked like Devin Gill on the tackle. Nick Westbrook on the catch. And Indiana quickly out to the 40. They've been really slanting Michigan to death.
Big gap right over the middle. Devin Bush got a little aggressive on that last one.
1st and 10. Ramsey drops back. He's going to throw down the sidelines looking for Westbrook, but great coverage from Lavert Hill step for step. Throw was a bit behind off the hands and incomplete.
Ramsey continues to have a lot of time in the pocket to look for his routes and check down. And he's delivered some real dimes here throughout this game.
Michigan still leading 22-17 after scoring a touchdown on their opening possession of the third quarter that they had. Indiana got the ball to start and was stopped on a quick 3-and-out. Now we've got a flag. Looks like it's going to be a false start unless it wasn't offsides. The Michigan player did jump, but it certainly looked like there was first movement from the Hoosiers, and yes, indeed there was. Be a false start that'll back Indiana up 5 yards to the 35, so it'll set up 2nd and 15.
Looks like the call for the offsides was on Coy Cronk.
Yeah, Coy Cronk from Lafayette, Indiana, a Central Catholic product.
That's a name from Emperor's New Groove, Cronk.
2nd and 15 from the Indiana 35. They need midfield.
He threw off the Emperor's Groove there.
4 receivers. Ramsey standing in the shotgun at his own 29, running back to his right. Michigan showing blitz. It looks like they bring it, but Ramsey still got time. He throws over the middle, got a man wide open across the 50, out to the 46-yard line. Man, oh man. There is just green grass wide open in the middle of the field as Michigan tried to dial up the blitz. And it looked like Brandon Watson got lost on that play.
It looks like Devin Bush as well, maybe a little bit lost. He bit in trying to cover the running back out of the backfield.
And it's going to be a handoff on 1st down as Hoosiers going to play. The ball's loose. It looks like Michigan has it. And they do. The referee does the signal. I don't know who recovered it. There's a big dog pile but Michigan was clearly the first one on it, trying to see the number. That looks like Kalik Hudson.
The strip was made by Kwity Paye, came right around and jammed the ball out right as Stevie Scott was crossing the line of scrimmage. And that's going to be a forced fumble for Kwity Paye.
Yeah, and Hudson is right there. It looked like the tight end Peyton Hendershot for Indiana was tried. Hudson beat him to it. So Michigan's defense still not looking like what you'd want, but they get their second takeaway of the game after Peyton Ramsey threw an interception on the first possession of the game. Now a fumble from Scott. And Michigan will take over at their own 43. Good field position and a chance to go up by 2 scores for the first time today. Patterson is going to hand it off to Chris Evans. He's got some running room, weaving out to the 50-yard line.
Thank goodness there was no media timeout between the fumble and the start of the drive, but just a quick score recap. It's 22-17 in favor of the Wolverines with 8:30 to go here in the third quarter. And that was a nice 7-yard gain on first down. Again, Evans picking up nice little, finding those C-gap holes right through the left side.
2nd and 3 from the 50-yard line, right to the right of the block M. As Patterson's got Evans to his left, he's going to throw it. He's got a man in the middle. Uh-oh, Peoples-Jones was the intended target. It's over his head and intercepted at the 41-yard line. A big dog pile right after that, but the forward progress was blown dead at the 40, so Indiana will take over. Looked like Marcelino Ball the one to get it. He had Peoples-Jones open, but there was a man right in his face. John Runyon totally whiffed, and Patterson airmailed it over the head of Peoples-Jones and right into the waiting arms of the Hoosier defender.
Michigan, not a defense that forces a heck of a lot of turnovers, and failing to capitalize off of the Indiana fumble, they give it right back to the Hoosiers with decent field position and 8 minutes to go here in the third quarter. That's not how you start to pull away.
You know, yes, there was pressure on that one, but that is not a great throw from Shea Patterson, and it's certainly not been his best day. 15 of 24, 1 touchdown, and now an interception, 209 yards, but he's missed some important throws in that one. Yes, there was pressure, but that's a bad ball.
Like you said, he did have Peoples-Jones open and still probably could have made the throw. Just let a little bit go on it.
So Michigan still leads Indiana 22-17, 8:05 to go here in the third quarter. Tons and tons of time in this game. It's hard, you know, it's easy to lose sight of that.
You could begin to argue at this point that a couple of miscues, Michigan has left a lot of points on the board.
Oh,
perhaps
absolutely.
starting to get to those, I'm more talking about perhaps getting to the point where you could start to argue that Michigan is fully outplaying Indiana at this point.
Sure. I mean, there's still some distressing defensive problems, especially on these slants over the middle. I mean, it's not like the DBs are getting beat. There's just no one there. And I don't know exactly what's going on.
It looked like on that last drive, at least, for those couple slant routes that got open over the middle, it looked like aggressive blitzing from the linebackers that left wide open space. And credit to the Indiana offensive line picking up on these Don Brown blitz packages and giving enough time for Ramsey to make a completion out over the middle. And that's the gamble that you make when you push as hard as Don Brown does for the QB pressure.
Just got done with the team montage, and now the new banner this year unfurled in the student section. As
it's a nice touch.
Quick out of the timeout. They've been trying to move this third quarter along in that sort of molasses first half, as this game has now been going on for 2.5 hours, and we've still got a lot of football to be played. From the 40-yard line, Ramsey comes out in the shotgun with Scott to his left. 3 wide receivers. They're going to throw a little screen. He's got a man open, but a bad throw. Way too high. It's caught, but just falling forward for about 4 yards before Hudson could get there. But there was no one in the vicinity. Looked like Timian, the one, did a good job just to make the catch.
And had he hit Timian in stride, would have had some open green space in front of him. He would have had to beat Kalik Hudson, but
Ramsey in trouble. Now he's going to roll out to the left, and he's just going to throw it away. That's a smart play. Had Devin Bush pursuing him, and now there is a man down at the 34-yard line. Is that Chase Winovich?
It is Chase Winovich down on the field.
He's clutching the groin, it looks like. He's on his belly with a hand down under his front side. And now Harbaugh sent the whole team out there to look at him. All the trainers, it seems like. There's about 4 or 5 guys out there. Harbaugh himself. Just a huddle of maybe, I mean, it might even be 6 trainers. 3 of them kneeling down and a few more standing up looking. And now the whole Michigan defense is gathered around Winovich.
Looks like he took a shove there towards the end of the play. The shove came from, looked like 72, Simon Stepaniak. And as he went down, it looks like Winovich tried to brace with his left hand, maybe jammed his wrist in there, but he looks in a lot of discomfort. Arguably the most important player on this defense for Michigan has really been a vocal heart and soul for this team. Yeah,
the whole defense is still out there as they're finally being told to go to the sideline because referees have indicated this will be a full media timeout. Winovich now has been flipped over to his front side.
He's got his left hand gingerly up on his chest. The conductor, really, of the revenge tour train for Michigan that's become the mantra of this football team.
Looks like Shea Patterson is now standing out there looking at Winovich. I mean, it didn't seem...
Again, I think it looked like on the replay just trying to brace that weight on his left wrist. And it just kind of slipped underneath him. He is still down, not moving. I think they're going to try and get him up on his butt.
Harbaugh is just standing there kind of pacing around. Winovich is laying at about the 34-yard line, and Harbaugh is standing at where the ball gets placed down for kickoffs. And now he walks over and bends down into a crouch, continuing to look. It almost looks like it's a zoo animal, and the spectators coming to see.
Big shouts from the Big House crowd, just kind of opening up here. That I think they're saying Chase. I can't quite hear.
That's what it sounds like. Now is that Brandon Watson that's standing over there?
Looks like Tyree Cannell, maybe.
Tyree Cannell. They've got Winovich to his feet as the crowd roars. I think they're
going to
take
go
him
right to the locker room. Yep. Going to have an X-ray. Again, I think it's the risk because he looks fine on his feet, walking with no impediment.
Yeah, I mean, he gets pushed down hard by the right tackle, Coy Crunk, and it just looked like an awkward fall.
Well, you would expect even if Winovich is in the slightest way injured, likely to keep him out of the rest of this game in preparation for next week. But
3rd and 6 for Indiana. That's a long timeout and a long break, but Indiana now with the 3rd down because the play that occurred on was just a throwaway by Ramsey as he was being chased by Bush.
Noah Furbush is going to be the next man up for Michigan, coming in to replace a lot of the duties that Chase Winovich would have.
It looks like Uche is out there on the left side and Furbush on the right. Dwumfor in the middle, trying to tell who the other defensive tackle is out there.
Just waiting to get out of the media timeout here with a couple seconds left.
The crowd really getting loud to "We Will Rock You." 7:39 to go in the 3rd quarter. Michigan still leading Indiana 22-17. Ramsey drops back in the shotgun. He's got a back to his left, 3 wide receivers in the trips formation to the right, and then another receiver to the left. So 4 wideouts and then some help next to Ramsey. Michigan showing some blitz. They send a man out to the side. Ramsey's going to just try to run for it. He's got it if he wants it, and he does just dive across down to the 49, but an Indiana 1st down.
That's an excellent job by the Indiana offensive line to collapse in on the edges, taking the pressure from Furbush and Uche, and opening up kind of a crossing X route that allows Peyton Ramsey to take off and pick up more on the ground.
Well, Dwumfor over-pursued a bit on that play. Now they go quickly up to it, and running with some room is Stevie Scott. He's out to the 35, to the 30, getting pushed down at the 28-yard line. Scott, lots of running room, and now some flags at the end of the play.
Wonder if maybe they get Michigan here for a face mask as it came down with the pile going down.
Yeah. It's going to be a personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the Hoosiers. On 72, it looks like Simon Stepaniak, which is definitely odd, trying to see exactly what that was.
It was definitely off the play. Oh, it was a late shove on Quiddy Pay right as the pile went down.
So that basically wipes out the entire run, and it puts Indiana back at the 44 of Michigan.
2 plays after he puts Chase Winovich to the ground, another one from Stepaniak. That time they catch it.
1st and 10 from the Michigan 44. Dropping back is Ramsey. He's in trouble. Gonna go hit. Gonna get down at the 43-yard line. Looks like Devin Bush along with Hudson Ross. Everybody there to bring him down.
Rashawn Gary right behind him there as well. And for once here tonight, Don Brown's pressure finally getting home as Devin Bush able to beat that edge cover and
Bush
get in on
first,
Peyton Ramsey.
And then Gary right behind him.
Should go down as a solo sack still for Bush.
Yeah, loss of 11 yards. So it's 2nd and 21 from the Indiana 45 as they're back on their side of the field. Man comes across the formation for the Hoosiers. Dropping back is Ramsey. And he's in some trouble again, looking to try to screen it, and he just throws it away as 3 Wolverines staring him down. Looks like Monet, Kemp, and Gary all in Ramsey's grill, and he had to throw it at the feet of a potential receiver.
Yep, no grounding call, got out of the pocket, and then had a receiver, quote, in the area.
Well, he was so far back. I mean, he backpedaled about 15 yards behind where the ball was hiked. So 3rd and 21. We'll see if Indiana's really going to try to get the first down or if they're going to play it conservative. They're at their own 45. They need the Michigan 34. Ramsey looking at his sideline as the Big House crowd is loud. He needs to get the play off. 5 on the play clock. Wide receivers, 4 of them, and they're just going to throw a little screen. They've got some room, caught at the 46, but then spun down immediately at the 48. Great coverage. Tyree Cannell among the first to hit him. But a 3 or 4 person gang tackle there.
It's a little bit of hesitation there from Timian. As when he got the ball, he started looking a little left-right. If he went north to south, might have escaped that first tackle from Josh Ross, but instead goes down right near the line.
Yeah, it looks like Josh Ross hits him hard and kind of spins him around, and then Cannell finishes him off. So a potentially promising drive for Indiana off a Michigan interception ends very quickly. Bad personal foul penalty, and then a sack wipes out the drive. So out comes the punter, Hayden Whitehead. Indiana shifting around their formations. Whitehead gets it away, but we have a whistle first, as that was an excellent kick.
Probably a false start, delay of game.
Yeah, Indiana is just a little all over the place here in this second half. So they'll back him up 5 yards, put him on the 43-yard line instead, which means the punter Whitehead will stand at the 29 instead, and Peoples-Jones will stand at the 18. That was a good punt. They come after it again. Whitehead gets it away. Peoples-Jones has a chance to return it, catches it at the 15. Going to do a little stutter step hesitation, and he'll be brought down right away at the 20-yard line. So not the worst field position of all time. But it is a difference because that kick Whitehead got away before the delay of game landed at the 5. So Indiana shoots themselves in the foot a couple times on that drive. Certainly that personal foul really looming large.
We'll keep you updated as well if we hear anything on the condition of Chase Winovich. Still has not come out of the tunnel yet with the team docs. Michigan going to try and continue to advance on a 5-point lead here, 22-17 with 5:15 in the third quarter.
So, 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. And Patterson is going to give it off to Higdon. He's trying to find the edge, goes through a couple tacklers and is brought down at the 23. There is a flag, probably a hold. Looked like in the area of Sean McCune. Waiting on the word. Yep, it is on McCune. So it'll be a 10-yard penalty to push the Wolverines back to their own 10 for 1st and 20. 5:09 to go in the third quarter. Michigan 22, Indiana 17.
You know, on 1st and 20 here, back deep in your own territory, I might look at that single coverage on Tariq Black down there for a shot.
They bring Ronnie Bell from the left side to the right. And Patterson is going to keep it himself. He's got some running room. He's at the 15, going to get out to the 20 and get right out of bounds at about the 22. We'll see where they spot him officially. They'll put it on the 21. So that's an 11-yard pickup, gets the yardage right back.
Yep. Those keepers for Patterson, he's just so sneaky with that ball coverage. No defense ever really sure if he's going to hand it off or keep it for himself, and it makes those plays so hard to stop.
I believe that's the third keeper we've seen from Patterson to 18 yards. So 2nd and 9 from the 21-yard line. Patterson drops back. He's got some time. Now pressure comes, just trying to throw it away, but he gets it in the area of Tariq Black, who almost had a chance to make a play on it. And Patterson looked like he might have gotten hit hard there.
Looks like he... yeah, got grabbed right at the feet as he let that ball go. Looked like the pressure was coming in there from, looked like Marcelino Ball maybe. It was actually number 47, Micah McFadden.
So 3rd and 9, this is an interesting down right here. Michigan would like to get out of their own side of the field and continue to march down. Indiana would like to recoup the field position. 3rd and 9 from the Michigan 21. Indiana brings a blitz. Patterson's going to roll to his right. He's got all day to throw. He's going to fire it down the field. Got Gentry open. He hit him down to the 41-yard line. A big play there. A gain of almost 30 yards. Actually, more than 30 yards, rather, down to the Indiana 38.
Well, earlier in the game on a similar rollout, Patterson missed a wide-open Gentry in the end zone on one of those nice lofted passes, but that time he made sure that he made up for it. Hit him for a big, big gain. Picked up 41 yards. Gentry now has catches for 41 and 42 on the game.
Number 6 for Indiana in coverage, but it's only 2 wide receivers listed on the roster. Here they come. Patterson going to fire down the field. He's got Nico Collins open, and he just underthrew him. Bounces off the helmet of the DB, who never really turned his head around, but he also never interfered with Collins, so it'll be incomplete.
Like that aggression from Michigan trying to open up the passing game. Go with the big gain to Gentry and go right back to the air on 1st down, and almost a nice throw there. As you said, just slightly underthrown as it bounced off the helmet there of Jonathan Crawford.
So 2nd and 10 from the Indiana 38-yard line. Michigan with the ball up 5, 3:52 to go in the 3rd quarter, and he's going to give a handoff to True Wilson. He's got some running room to the left side. He's at the 30 to the 25, cuts it back, and a hard hit bounces him out of bounds at about the 23, but that's a gain of 15 yards and a Michigan 1st down. Damian Willis Jr. on the tackle.
You like that from True, too. Instead of just going out of bounds, tries to cut up field and take a few more yards. He takes a big hit because of it, but that's determined running there from True.
So Michigan now at the Indiana 23, starting to approach the red zone situation. Clock now ticks to 3:30. Patterson in the shotgun. Evans to his right brings Black across the formation. They're going to give it to Evans. He's going to try to cut to the outside as well. Gets around a couple tacklers. He steps out of bounds at about the 15-yard line, but a pickup of 8 on the play. Another big chunk play.
They call that a stiff arm drain. Stick it right out, throw him to the ground. Nice power there from Chris Evans, who again has had several 7-8-yard chunk runs here for Michigan in the 2nd half.
2nd and 2 upcoming. Michigan has the ability to take some shots at the end zone if they want it. 2nd and 2 from the Indiana 15. Michigan officially now in the red zone as the clock ticks under 3 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Patterson's going to do a play action. He's got McCune open, didn't hit him. Pass is just a little too low, and it's batted down by a wily defensive end who was in the and getting those big mitts up to knock it down.
It was Gavin Everett getting right in the grill of Patterson to knock it down.
Yeah, Everett was never blocked by anybody. I don't know if it was a missed assignment. He was lined up right in front of McCune, who popped out for the route.
It would have been a missed assignment for T.D. Roof, who was the linebacker in coverage on McCune.
3rd and 2 from the 15-yard line. Michigan, the I formation, lots of men at the line. They give it off and stuffed right at the 15-yard line. Karan Higdon, nothing on that play. And now Michigan with a decision to make, and it looks like they're going to send out the field goal unit to go up 8 James Miller stuffing Karan Higdon on 4th and 2.
Predictable.
Yep.
Utterly predictable.
So this is a little bit of a longer field goal for Moody, still only about 33 yards. Hart the holder, Cheeseman the snapper. Moody runs up and boots it, and he puts it through. So on his first ever day as a Michigan place kicker, Jake Moody's been busy. His 4th field goal attempt and his 4th field goal make. Michigan goes up 8, with the Hoosiers hanging around. 2:08 to go in the 3rd quarter. Our score, Michigan 25, Indiana 17.
Michigan continues to be impotent in the red zone, and I have to say a large part of it due to the play calling by the staff inside the 20. Everybody and their grandma could guess an inside run to Karan Higdon on 3rd and 2.
Yep.
The only thing more predictable is put Ben Mason in.
Well, he was in on the formation. It was an I formation, but they didn't give it to him.
Got to try and have a little bit more pizzazz, something. It's not even the right word for it, but just creativity, or who knows.
They're keeping a lot in the garage, because obviously after today's game, Ohio State's defense is always looking very vulnerable.
Keep it in the garage all you want, but it's a 5-point ball game at that play. Given you're up, 8 now, but could have put the game close to out of reach with the way Michigan's defense is playing had you gotten a little more gutsy there on 3rd and 2.
Yeah, Michigan could have been up 29-17. They're outgaining Indiana 423 to 310 as Moody kicks it away, and yet another fair catch signal. Caught at the 5, but the ball will be placed down at the 25.
Michigan starting to pull away in the total yardage battle, 423 to 310.
250, 146 through the air. Pretty similar on the ground, 173 to 164.
As the Wolverines have done all season as well, dominating the time of possession. 23 minutes to Indiana's 16 and change.
Well, the important factor in this game is longer plays, because Stevie Scott's got a 35-yard run, Peyton Ramsey's got a 29-yard run, and Scott had an even longer run on that last play that got wiped out by the penalty. Quickly out of the timeout, they give it to Scott. He goes right up the middle for about 4.5, brought down just shy of the 30. Gary on the tackle.
Michigan as well, the beneficiary of some big chunk plays. 42-yard touchdown to Nick Eubanks earlier. Yep. A 41-yard, a 42-yard completion to Gentry.
2nd and 5. Hoosiers playing with tempo again. Ramsey throws, and it's batted down at the line. Devin Gill getting his hand up there, and Ramsey yelling something either at the referee or the sideline.
I think they're going to maybe get Michigan for defensive holding, even though the ball never got there. The flag is at the 40-ish yard line where the target was. And indeed they do, defensive holding. It's going to go against Lavert Hill. Wipes out a nice play by the Michigan defense. Great athleticism by Gill to knock that one down. Lack of discipline in coverage, though.
So it'll be 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line after the penalty is enforced from the 30. Ramsey in the shotgun. He's going to drop back to throw once again. He goes looking down the sideline, just overthrew his man. 1 or 2 steps ahead of the intended receiver, Peyton Hendershot, the tight end, guarded by Metellus.
Metellus has fallen a step behind in coverage several times tonight, and if that's a better thrown ball, that's a completion from Ramsey.
It was better coverage than some of them. Ramsey now, 2nd and 10. He's just going to give it off to his back, who does a nice job to shed some tacklers and get out to the 44, but it's going to set up 3rd and medium, 3rd and 6 from the Indiana 44, and a big opportunity for Michigan's defense to force another stop and another punt. 1:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Michigan still leading 25-17. Ramsey with the running back to his left. 3 wide receivers in the trips formation to the right, and then a wide receiver single covered to the left. Michigan's got Kalik Hudson playing way behind the play. And now the running back sent out to the right side, so 5 wide for the Hoosiers. Michigan brings the blitz, and Ramsey's going to step up and run for it yet again. He's got the first down easily, and he slides to the 47.
Again, Michigan brings the pressure. Again, the pocket collapses, and again, Peyton Ramsey squirts out of it for a gain of, about 10, 12 yards.
Ramsey wasn't even trying to throw that ball. He just stood there and waited until the pocket predictably opened wide up, and then he goes right down Main Street for a first down. 1st and 10 from the Michigan 47. Going to do some play action. Ramsey's in trouble, and he's just going to have to throw it away. And that one goes high into the stands, and the crowd.
I think they want a grounding call, and they're not going to get it.
Ramsey's definitely taking advantage of the ways that intentional grounding can be stretched in favor of the offense.
On further review, not in a single receiver on the entire right side of the field for Indiana.
2nd and 10 from the Michigan 47 for Indiana. The Hoosiers continue to play that quick hurry-up pace. Ramsey sets protection at the line, now 5 on the play clock, and he is just going to give it off right up the middle and nothing happening. That's going to be a loss of probably a half yard. Stevie Scott brought down by Quiddy Pay, who's a little shaken up.
Might be your last play of the third quarter as well. Clock ticking down right to about 20 seconds. Doesn't look like any rush there from Peyton Ramsey.
Yeah, about a 6-second difference between the game clock and the play clock, and the Hoosiers are just going to trot to the sideline.
Indiana will move the ball 6 yards in the other direction, go to the other 47-yard line.
Winovich is still being evaluated.
Likely at this point he will not return.
No real reason to rush him back.
And as we head to the fourth quarter, Michigan leads the Indiana Hoosiers 25-17 here on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football and the Michigan Student Football Radio Network.
Well, the interesting thing in this game, one of the subplots, has been Michigan making some interesting switches to their personnel, yanking John Bushell-Beatty on senior day right off the field and replacing it with Andrew Stuber, and Quinn Nordine was never seen in this game, replaced by Jake Moody in the kicking role. So it's not every day you see the 11th game of the season, 2 pretty drastic switches in terms of the depth chart.
Never a game that's really felt out of reach for Michigan, but at the same time has never really felt comfortable either.
It's like just about every other game that Michigan and Indiana have played over the years. Last year it went to overtime. 2 years ago, very tight until the fourth quarter, and Davion Smith finally put Michigan in the lead, and then the snow came down that year. And 3 years ago, multi-overtime game in Bloomington. You go back 5 years, and that was the 63-47 game where Devin Gardner and Jeremy Gallen smashed all of the records in the Michigan offensive book.
Yikes, it looks like our live chat has devolved into a pissing contest between Michigan fans and Ohio State.
Uh-oh.
Keep it clean in the chat there, guys. Guys and gals.
So
leave it all on the gridiron next week.
3rd and 10 upcoming for the Hoosiers from the Michigan 47-yard line. They need the 37. Ramsey stands in the shotgun, yet again empty set. They run a wide spread, and he's going to take the snap. Ramsey drops back, starting to feel some pressure, throws, and too high, and a flag comes in late. There might be a defensive hold on the play.
Tyree Cannell is beside himself.
It's from the back judge. I don't know who it would have been on. It looks like it's going to be on Indiana. They say there is no foul because the referee started jogging over to Harbaugh as if to inform him of something. I don't know what the back judge is looking at. And now another injury, another Michigan player down on the field. 2 trainers out there, 3 trainers looking at whoever it is. I can't see. Whoever it is just blanketed by bodies in blue tops and khaki pants. As that pass underneath was intended for Reese Taylor, it went off his hands, and he was unable to haul it in. It'll be 4th and 10 upcoming and another Indiana punt. Looks like it's a cramp because they're stretching the leg of Khalid Hudson out. Doesn't seem serious in the way that they're bending his knee around. They are going to take yet another media timeout for injury. And here's the reason why that first half was so disastrous for Michigan. If they had played this game the way they have played some of these other games against Penn State and Wisconsin, this would be over. Starters would be off the field. There would be no injury risks. But instead, they did not play a good first half, and they're having to put their guys out there and risk injuries to key players. Hudson's back up and walking off, which looks good, but you don't want to have to take these risks against a team you think you're better than.
And we're about to get the attendance for the matchup here. I think I said about 112 earlier.
Let's get the word. They always draw it out in anticipation. 110, 118.
A little bit lower than anticipated, but...
Well, the student section is a little rough at the tops. Apparently, we're being told that it was a pick play that Hudson encountered, but it certainly looked like a cramp the way they were flexing his leg out. And obviously him getting up and walking off certainly made it seem like there was not any serious injuries. Like Winovich, you imagine Hudson will now be off. And then for Michigan, they're about to get the ball back, assuming Indiana punts it as expected, and you're up 8. You have an opportunity in this upcoming drive to score another touchdown and really kind of put the game out of reach. And then at that point, you can start to take your impact defensive players off the field.
See if Peoples-Jones can get a little wiggle room here. Has yet to really bust out a punt return so far tonight. You also want to keep an eye out for the fake. Maryland tried that one on Ohio State earlier to positive effect. Converted a first down late in that game. Lined up and about ready to get underway here again.
So, punt formation, Hayden Whitehead back out there, averaging 40.2 yards per punt this season. They are going to run a fake with the ball on the 45-yard line, going towards it. Not going to get it. Driven out at the 44-yard line. Couldn't tell the number. Devin Bush is the one who knocked whoever it was with the ball. It looked like they ran a sort of end around where the snap came to an up back, and then they brought a guy across the formation who got a lateral, and then he got shoved out of bounds by Devin Bush, who chased him down. The referees discussing something. I think there might be a flag
as well, which I would guess is a hold the way that play developed.
Yep, he ran from the left side to the right, yet the snap came to, I think, 83, who then lateraled it backwards to 42 coming across the field. And now the referees finally starting to break the huddle. Nope, they re-huddle right back up. The ball placed down on the Michigan 44, so it'll be tremendous field position. I don't think it's on Michigan. I didn't see anything, though, on either side, really. We've had a kind of an annoying amount of flag calls in this second half, some of them not enforced. And all 4 referees having a long conference. And then they say there's no foul.
I think they were initially looking for, they said no foul for late hit out of bounds.
You know, I don't know what to say. There's been a lot of flag calls that they've taken a long time to just deliberate and say nothing. 1st and 10 from the Michigan 44. Patterson under center. Higdon in the backfield. And Patterson is going to give it to Higdon. And Higdon runs into some trouble. Does a nice job to dive forward on his side for 4 yards out to the 48-yard line. This is a drive where Michigan wants to bleed the clock as much as they can, get a touchdown, and put the game on ice. 2nd and 6. Upcoming, 14:25 to go in the 4th quarter. Michigan leading Indiana 25-17. They shift the fullback Wangler from the right side to the left. They give it off to Higdon. He's got some running room. He's out to the 40 and gets shoved down just past that yardage marker, but he gains 13 yards on that rush. Ball will be placed at the 39, and Michigan picking up yardage in chunks.
Little tangle behind the play as well. It looked like Marcelino Ball locked up there with Ben Bredesen. No flag thrown, but again, this game's starting to get a little chippy as well off the ball.
So 1st and 10 from the Indiana 39. Patterson in the shotgun. He's got Wilson to his right, gives it to him. True Wilson. No, Patterson's going to keep it himself. Had me fooled for a minute, and Patterson dropped at the 36 after a gain of 3. Second and 7 to come. 13:24. Clock continues to run. Michigan has really controlled time of possession in this game. Currently stands at 26-19, and Michigan has now held the ball for about a minute or two. Patterson sets up with 3 wide receivers to the right and True Wilson to his right. He's going to give it to Wilson this time, who shoots forward through the middle of the line, down to the 31-yard line.
5th carry of the night for True Wilson, and he's made them all count. It's going to be 5 carries for somewhere around 37, 38 yards. So
Jalen Williams on the tackle. 3rd and 2. Ball placed down on the 31. Last time we saw Michigan in a short yardage situation, they got stuffed, giving it to Higdon. They put Higdon back out there, but they've opened up the formation a bit more, and they bring Peoples-Jones to the left. He's single covered. Higdon's to Patterson's left, and Patterson's going to keep it himself. He's got running room. He's at the 25, cuts it back to the 20, 15, and he's going to smartly go out of bounds at about the 12 or 13-yard line. But a nice little pickup of 18 or 19 yards there. Haven't done the QB keeper much today, but it's been effective when they've used it.
Turning into a real bread and butter play for this offense. Something they know they can go to for positive yardage.
So 1st and 10 from the 12-yard line. They break the huddle with 7 men at the line, including 2 tight ends. McCune on the left and Eubanks to the right as Patterson's in the shotgun with Higdon, and they are going to give it to Higdon. He goes right up the middle and gets pushed back at the 9. And now a lot of pushing after the play as the whistles continue to sound. Michigan now inside the 10-yard line. On the shadow of the goal line, they need to convert on this drive.
And even on the last touchdown drive, it took Michigan a solid, sustained effort inside the red zone. It did not come easy for Karan Higdon punching it in.
2nd and 7 from the Indiana 9-yard line. Michigan bearing down in the red zone. Higdon in the pistol with Patterson, and they are just going to give it to Higdon. And he knifes through the line of scrimmage. The referee marks him at the 10. It certainly seemed like he got farther than that. Interesting. Perhaps his knee went down a little early, but here we go again. Michigan 2 straight runs in the red zone.
And now on 3rd and 8, you have to put it in the air.
Yep, it did.
Just unpredictable. Indiana struggling to get their substitutes off the field here as well.
That's a good spot from the referee. His knee did go down before he then got up and kept running for 3 extra yards. So 3rd and 8 from the 10-yard line. Patterson wants to run it, and he's weaving his way around Indiana defenders. Was that a designed QB run?
It didn't seem like it.
A lot of wide receivers lined up, and now out comes the kicking team. And the crowd is just bewildered by some pretty baffling play calling, especially in the red zone here today, as Jake Moody...
about to go for a fistful.
Yep. Attempting his 5th field goal, and all of them have been basically layups. This one, only a 23-yarder. As the clock ticks under 10 minutes, Cheeseman's snap is out, Hart's hold is good, the kick is up, and it is good. Threaded it through the right upright, not the best looking kick of all time.
5 field goals for Jake Moody.
Now hopefully you claimed him on your fantasy college football team this week, because he is cashing in on a day that really no one saw coming, replacing the normal kicker Quinn Nordine. Michigan, you know, it's one thing to have 5 field goals. It's another to have 5 field goals on possessions where you were inside the 20-yard line. And a 6th where you threw away at least 3 points in the red zone at the end of the half. Not the finest game of all time from the offensive coaching staff. I mean, Michigan's got 474 yards and 28 points.
A befuddling effort. As always, we like to give a thanks to all of you tuning in on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. We will be live next Saturday in Columbus for the game. Noon kickoff. You can catch that on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor, as well as here on youtube.com/WCBN Sports.
It's been an interesting week in the Big Ten. Nebraska knocked off Michigan State 9-6 in one of the ugliest games you'll ever see. A week after MSU played an incredibly ugly game against Ohio State. They have a good defense, but, I mean, their offense might be worse than if 11 of us at WCBN Sports decided to play football. I mean, there is just nothing happening for Michigan State. 12 combined points in the past 2 weeks.
Well, you know,
against two not good defenses. Ohio State gave up almost 500, 600 yards to Maryland, and Nebraska, we saw here in the Big House, got detonated by Michigan. These are not good defenses.
A Nebraska team that, given, has improved over the course of the season.
But their offense is their strength. Their defense is not good. And Ohio State's defense is not good either, and MSU just can't do anything offensively. I mean, if Mark D'Antonio does not fire Dave Warner and everybody on the offensive staff, the game might have passed him by, because the lack of execution and effort on the Spartan side is quite stunning this year. And Purdue is battling Wisconsin to try to scratch out that 6th win. Indiana needs a 6th win either today against Michigan or next week against Purdue in the battle for the Hoosier State. Purdue potentially losing their head coach after the season. Jeff Brom announced by
Louisville.
Dan Dockich to be going to Louisville. Nothing official yet.
In which case, Michigan likely to pick up another 5-star defensive end recruit.
Potentially. We will wait and see that official word. Louisville bought out Bobby Petrino this past week. They are now paying ridiculous buyouts to both Rick Pitino and Bobby Petrino, and yet still may have money to poach Jeff Brom away from Purdue. So Jake Moody stands at his own 26. He runs up and kicks it from the right hash. High arcing kick, and once again Indiana whistles for the fair catch as it drops right on the A in the Michigan end zone.
Stat line so far for Indiana on offense. Peyton Ramsey is 12 of 26 under center for 146 yards. Has a touchdown and an interception off that tip pass that was gathered in by Dwumfor.
The Hoosier passing game has not been great today, but when they have completed the occasional pass, it's gone for quite a bit, which has been the issue for the Wolverines. The rush defense obviously much more concerning. Out come the Hoosiers quickly from their own 25. Ramsey in the shotgun. He's going to drop back, looks to throw. And he's got time, throws over the middle, a completed pass. Hudson, wearing that receiver like a cheap suit, finally brings him down after a gain of 8. It'll be 2nd and 2 upcoming from the 33 of the Wolverines. 9:35 remaining in the contest. Hoosiers trailing by 11. They need 2 scores here in the 4th quarter. They are going to give it off to Scott, the running back, and he is stonewalled right at the line of scrimmage. It's interesting. For the most part, Michigan has been able to stop Stevie Scott. It's been just 2 or 3 busts compounded with the dreadful QB contain in this game.
Yep. Peyton Ramsey has 6 for 57 yards. Stevie Scott 24 for 128 yards and a touchdown.
3rd and 1 for Ramsey. He's got Scott to his left, a tight end to the left side of the line, 1 notch behind the left tackle. Now they motion Scott to the right. 3 wide receivers for the Hoosiers. Michigan with 4 down linemen on this 3rd and 1. Clock ticks down to 5 on the play clock. They got to get it off. Ramsey's going to run the option to Scott, pitches it, and Scott just does get the first down, diving past the 35.
Looked like Michigan might have had it snuffed out, but just a little bit late to make the play off the edge. Looked like Devin Bush missed the arm tackle first, and then Stevie Scott able to fall forward for 3.
If Bush brings him down, they've got it, and Michigan's going to have too many men on the field. This pass going down the field, and it is incomplete, and now another flag comes out. It's going to be pass interference on Metellus, The pass intended for Luke Timian. Already Brian Monet was not able to get off the field in time. So 2 flags on the play. Both are on Michigan, and both called by the back judge.
I don't know. They might be able to blow there on Timian for offensive pass interference. Well, it looks like they will get Michigan, but it looked like Timian might have also had an arm wrapped around Metellus.
Oh, I have no doubt that was not perhaps.
Yeah, there's nothing in that call. Timian was wrapped around Metellus, who was far out in front of the play.
This has been a particularly
shoddy job.
This has been a very bad refereeing job. I don't argue with referees all that much, but this has been a very poorly called game in every way. Getting some calls wrong and then throwing flags when they weren't there. The issue at the end of the first half with fumbling the ball. A lot of issues with O'Neill's crew today. 1st and 10 from the Michigan 49. They give it off right up the middle, down to the 46. Gain of 3 again. Michigan's been able to clamp down pretty well on these rushes. Michigan's now committed 4 penalties for 45 yards. Ramsey's in trouble. He's going to roll out to the left side, being chased by Josh Ross. Going to fire it down the field's got a man there and underthrew him. You definitely see a bit today of Hoosier receivers trying to draw contact. Ty Freifogel, the one intended there.
Freifogel literally leaving his left arm, reaching back for the coverage man there, David Long. Trying to sell that contact really hard, but the referees have bitten several times today, so might as well keep doing it.
3rd and 7 from the 46-yard line. Hoosiers having trouble getting set up in their formation. Now they finally get the wide receivers set. Ramsey alone in the backfield and in the shotgun. He faces some pressure, but he's got time to throw. He's got a slant underneath. Got it complete at the 40. First down, 35-30. Cutting around Hudson and out of bounds at the 25 was Reese Taylor. A big pickup.
A backup quarterback, Reese Taylor, being used in the hands game there, and just a short underneath pass that Michigan gave up the room for, and Indiana able to extend it, and they are close to the red zone.
And now Josh Metellus down on the field. Michigan defenders dropping like flies in this second half. You got to think Hudson's groin injury that we saw earlier with the cramps was perhaps a factor on that slant, because he was definitely not looking particularly quick trying to pursue Taylor on that over the field route. And of course Josh Metellus missed last week's game with a soft tissue issue. I mean, they played him today, so you had to think that perhaps he was back to full strength, but gotta wonder if that has reared its head yet again.
Note from Isaiah Hull, one of the major photographers on the sideline for Michigan, that Chase Winovich's parents were being escorted from the stands to the tunnel. And he is still not emerged.
And that's interesting, because, I mean, it's either his left shoulder or his left wrist. I mean, it certainly did not look like a Grant Newsom situation where you knew it was catastrophic.
If his wrist did in fact sustain a more serious injury, it could be the end of Winovich in the maize and blue. Just not fair on senior day.
Now Metellus is up. Yeah, I mean, I would have to guess that Metellus' injury probably related to that soft tissue problem, because he's got right up and he's walking over to the sideline. Same thing with Hudson. Maybe it is another cramp of that variety. Winovich has been the only one that's had a really sustained injury, as we saw Hudson come right back out. Slippery Rock defeated LIU Post today, 20-14. They are in the NCAA Division II playoffs.
That was round 1 of the playoffs.
Yep. 8:02 remaining here in this fourth quarter.
Michigan trying to hold on to an 11-point lead, see it out, and march into Columbus next week for a winner-take-all trip to the Big Ten championship game, and potentially for Michigan from there, a trip to the college football playoff.
So, 1st and 10 from the 24. They give it off to the back, Scott, and he falls down to the 17-yard line. That's a nice pickup of about 7 yards. Devin Bush in on the tackle. And a great job by Scott to fall forward. Second down, they give it right back off to him, and he gets ranked down violently from behind. Right at the 15, will set up 3rd and 1.
Michigan going to try and come up with a big stop here. Indiana likely 2-down territory here.
3rd and 1. Ramsey in the shotgun, 3 wide receivers. They've run spread the entire game, have not loaded up at all at really any point in this one. 7:04 to go. Ramsey's going to run the option once again. He pitches it way behind the line. Josh Metellus blows it up, helped out by his fellow safety Tyree Cannell. That option is going to lose 4 yards, and now the Hoosiers might have to kick the field goal.
Michigan had that one from the jump, and they do send the field goal unit out.
Well, they had the last one played well too, but this one they finally make the stop. Ball placed on the 19, so it is going to be a 37-yard field goal, 36-yarder. The holder, Hayden Whitehead, the kicker, Logan Justice. He's made 1 field goal today. Not a lot of wind, but crisp air. Snap out, the hold is good. Justice's kick is up, and that looks like it is through. Indeed, Michigan 28, Indiana 20.
One-score game with 6:10 to play here. Indiana continuing to stick around all the way to the end.
Yeah, it's been an impressive showing. I mean, this is an Indiana team that, keep in mind, is a really pesky team. You know, they played Penn State very tough. Penn State barely survived that game against Indiana. Ohio State was neck and neck with Indiana for a lot of their contest between the two teams. Indiana didn't play a half-bad game against MSU when the Spartan offense was functional. I mean, this is an Indiana team that has scrapped and played some tricky games. They did beat Virginia, who was ranked at one point in the season. It's not a bad team. It's a team that has come close a lot of times and just has not been able to get there, and they're going to need either a win here today or a win next week to make a bowl. Hoosiers standing at 5-5, 2-5 in the Big Ten. I mean, they lost by 7 to Minnesota, 5 to Penn State, 14 to MSU. They've been close enough in a lot of games. Were tight with Ohio State until the Buckeyes finally pulled it out towards the end of that game to put some padding on the final line.
Update on Michigan hockey. Scoring 4 unanswered in the 3rd period last night against the number 5 Penn State Nittany Lions at Pagula in-state college to walk out with a 6-4 win. They are down 2-0 tonight on the back end of that game with 15:46 to play in the 1st period. So 2 very early goals for the Nittany Lions.
Do you know who's in net tonight?
Scroll back here and see really quick on the lines. Looks like Levine is starting in net.
A lot of the issues this year are unquestionably defensive.
Strauss-Mann actually starting in net tonight. Yep.
I mean, it's a team that looks like they've never seen before. I mean, they don't even know what they're doing, which is just baffling for a team that's returned 5 starting defensemen. I mean, inexcusable so far this year.
But yay for scoring. Good goals.
Yay for scoring. So, Indiana to kick it away. It looks like they're going to do a potential onside. Instead, they're just going to loop it high. It's going to be caught at the 17-yard line and be returned. Can't tell exactly who has it. That might be Brandon Watson. He's at the 30, cutting upfield at the 35, going to be driven out at the 37. Actually, Brad Hawkins, the one who returned it. A flag is down, and we've got an injury. A Michigan player is laid out and motionless on the field. Ambry Thomas looking at him. It's a number that starts with a 30, and it's a special teams player.
You hope that's not Berkeley Edwards.
Oh, my God. He got absolutely destroyed. That should be targeting. Yep.
It is indeed, and they will go to the review.
That is what the penalty is. I mean, he was standing there and got his head blown off. Whoever that is, I can't tell the number. It was as Hawkins was cutting from the left side of the field to the right. He got pushed out at the 38, so a penalty could really help Michigan out here. Yeah, that is 32.
That is Berkeley Edwards, and boy, oh boy.
34 for Indiana, just a disgusting
That's Cam
hit.
Jones, 6'3", 219 pounds.
It wasn't direct to the head; it was to the chin area, and just a straight shot. yanks the head, snaps it right back, and you could tell it was a hit to the head because he was not moving.
And Berkeley Edwards
when Ambry Thomas was looking at him.
Has still not moved. A senior on senior day.
Unquestionably out cold right now.
As the medical staff are caved around him, and these Michigan Wolverine teammates, I think even the ones that weren't out on the field during the play, know just how awful of a hit that was.
The referee's reviewing this. Now, I don't understand targeting and never have, so I don't know how this is going to turn out, but given some of the ejections we've seen, this should have been about a 15-second review to me.
Seems pretty clear-cut.
And
a horrifying hit.
And out comes the cart. The crowd is just raining boos down. Very loud. I mean, what are they reviewing? I mean, again, I don't really understand. I know it was a shot to the upper side, but it did get enough of the head.
Berkeley Edwards still has not moved on the ground.
I mean, the way his head snaps back, unquestionably it got parts of his head. And now the crowd chanting, kick him out, is, you know, this review, I mean, he might as well be surveying the dinner menu, getting ready to order his takeout after this one.
Looking for any sign of motion from the extremities of Berkeley Edwards. Nothing at the moment. And boy, you just hope it isn't as serious as it looks right now.
Not a whole lot else to be said.
Perhaps they're waiting to announce the review result until all this is over. They do confirm the targeting call.
So what was that review for? Why did it take 3 minutes to make a call that every single person in this stadium knew was coming? I mean, that's just what I don't understand about review these days.
I think they call that quality control.
If it is that clear cut, kick the guy out, and let's move on with it.
Still trying to get Berkeley Edwards on the backboard that they have pulled off the cart.
Appears that he is moving his legs, is what we have been told, but not a whole lot else.
Cam Jones has been ejected from the game for targeting on the kickoff. Leveled his helmet to Berkeley Edwards.
So let's keep in mind that Hawkins had gone out at the 38, and then the targeting on Jones against Edwards enforced 15 yards. Michigan will get the ball in the Indiana 47. It will be tremendous field position, but you never want 15 yards in exchange for the health of one of your seniors.
Crew's still working on Edwards.
Edwards was out. I mean, he was out the moment that hit happened. He was not moving.
You just hope that it's only getting knocked out. You know, you hope that he's able to come to his senses and nothing more serious. But like you said, his neck snapped to almost a 90-degree angle with his back.
You know, this is you never want to accuse a team of being dirty, but I'm about to accuse a team of being dirty because there's been a handful of plays in this second half. Certainly the Winovich one, after Winovich had been pushed down to the ground, the tackle had come up from behind him and continued to push him down. And then there was the incident at the end of the first half where Indiana was stalling, which a lot of teams do, but there was a bit more on that final play as the seconds ticked down. Score update, Oklahoma State has taken a 44-41 lead over West Virginia with an extra point coming, so an upset perhaps brewing in Stillwater. The number 9 Mountaineers might be going down, just 48 seconds left in that one. Oklahoma State has come storming back, outscoring West Virginia 20-10 with the extra point pending in the fourth quarter. They were trailing 41-31 in that game with 7 minutes to go. And 2 quick scores. The Cowboys back on top. Purdue and Wisconsin are into double overtime. Both teams scored touchdowns in the first session, and now both teams have scored touchdowns in the second session. That could be going 3 rounds. In a big upset in the world of college basketball, Villanova, who Michigan dispatched with ease on Wednesday night, looks like they're going down at home against Furman. Wildcats just might not be the team they were a year ago. Michigan basketball defeated George Washington today easily by 23 points, 84-61. They will play Providence tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. As they're strapping Edwards onto the cart, or onto the stretcher, and then they will lift it up onto the cart.
They still don't even have the backboard underneath him yet.
Yeah.
And as long as this is taking, it just seems worse. Some of our friends watching at home said that the national television broadcast did announce that he has movement in his legs.
Yeah, that's what we have heard. Other scores around the country, the SEC taking the week off and playing FCS schools. UCLA defeats USC 34-27. You got to think that's the end of Helton in Los Angeles.
Unless he can beat Notre Dame next week.
Unless he can beat Notre Dame, because the Trojans now 5-6 and losing to a 3-8 UCLA team. Utah, top 25 team, defeats Colorado 30-7. The Buffs have lost 6 straight games after starting 5-0, including a game where they were up almost 30 points to one of the worst teams in college football, Oregon State, and they blew that game. Just 2 years ago, the Colorado Buffaloes, the story of college football, and seemed like they were back this year. Might not even make a bowl at this point.
Good to see in that USC-UCLA game today, though, Wilton Spate going 13 of 22 for 166 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, it's been a rough year for him and that UCLA team, but was able to get a big win in a rivalry game today. Stanford and Cal postponed, and then a couple other Pac-12 games will be later in the evening. Pittsburgh defeats Wake Forest 34-13. The Panthers have already, or I think they have they already sewed up their trip to the ACC championship game officially?
Sorry?
Has Pitt already clinched the ACC championship game?
I believe so.
Yeah. NC State beat Louisville 52-10. Obviously, Louisville, as we mentioned, looking for a new coach. Miami 38-14 over Virginia Tech. Hurricanes a very disappointing season, but they will make a bowl. Georgia Tech 30-27 over Virginia in overtime. And Florida State, shout out to the Noles, getting a big win today, knocking off Boston College 22-21. So Florida State now 5-6. They'll have to find a way to beat Florida to make a bowl game. But after getting beat down by Notre Dame, who annihilated Syracuse 36-3, Florida State might well make a bowl game. So we're still waiting.
Word on the national broadcast as well is that they're taking the pads off of Berkeley Edwards before they get him on the backboard here, which I think they are finally starting to get underneath his body.
Kansas State 21-6 over Texas Tech. That's a pair of 5-5 teams that are now, or excuse me, 5-6 teams. They'll be scrapping to make a bowl. TCU beats Baylor 16-9. Those two teams both at 5-6. So a handful of Big 12 teams will be fighting for their life to potentially make bowl games next week. West Virginia, look at this. They've gotten all the way down to the Oklahoma State 14, 7 seconds left. One last shot for the Mountaineers. They completed a 33-yard pass, an 11-yard pass, a 14-yard pass, and now they're almost on the verge of coming back in that game. That's Big 12 football for you. 51 yards in 31 seconds.
Update from Pagula, Michigan hockey. Nick Pastujov scores to cut the Penn State lead down 2-1 now midway through the first period in State College.
He's been off to a very good start to the year, Pastujov has, really emerging as a second-line center. Now they've got the stretcher up onto the extended unit, which they will then move on to the cart.
Meanwhile, Braylon Edwards, I'm seeing on Twitter, brother of Berkeley Edwards, hoping that he's okay.
Texas and Iowa State tonight will be one of the big matchups of the evening. Iowa State 16th in the country, Texas 15th. Iowa State's got a path to the Big 12 championship game if they can knock off the Longhorns tonight, as they've now moved the stretcher to load it onto the cart.
He is wrapped in blankets. Hope and pray the best for Berkeley Edwards, again on his senior day, leaving in the worst way possible. For those just tuning in, we've been in a delay of about 10 minutes on the kickoff. Cam Jones in coverage for Indiana, ejected for a targeting call on Michigan's Berkeley Edwards. And in 5 years of doing games here at the Big House Drain, you could hear a pin drop here right now.
Yeah, well, you were on the call for the Newsom game, right?
Yes.
But Newsom famously walked off, despite having
not knowing that his legs very nearly could have been lost, yes.
Yeah. They've now carted down the tunnel where the fans are cheering and offering their best wishes as Edwards goes out the tunnel.
And he will likely head right to the U of M Medical Center.
The crowd now begins booing as Indiana huddles up. Like we said, with the 15-yard penalty enforced, Michigan will get the ball in Hoosier territory. The ball has been sitting at the 47 for a while as the Michigan offense comes right out. That's the danger of special teams. And that's why, you know, they've been trying to limit the kickoffs this year. But so many teams have been trying to find ways around that. 1st and 10. Patterson in the shotgun. He's got Evans to his left. 3 wide receivers in the tight end Gentry. They will just give it to Evans. He's looking for running room and not much there. He'll be dropped at the 45. Michigan leading 28-20 for those just joining us.
And the best way for Michigan to show Indiana how they feel about how they think they're playing would be to march this ball right down the field. 28-20 with 5:40 and ticking.
2nd and 8. Patterson got Wangler to his right, and he motions him to the left. Evans behind him in the pistol, and Patterson will keep it himself. He's on the run. He's at the 40, and he'll be pushed down at the 31. You got to be careful on those types of plays. Patterson aggressive and able to pick up yardage in chunks down to the 30. A 15-yard pickup and a Michigan first down. 5:20 to go in the game. Clock approaching 5:10. This is a long huddle. Michigan really wanting to bleed the clock and get a touchdown and then wrap up the game like that. Patterson under center. Higdon in the backfield. 2 wide receivers. A lot of men at the line. They just give it to Higdon, who jostles away a stutter step around a tackler. Does a good job to get out to the 25. A gain of 5 on the play.
He ducked out of the initial tackle. Looked like Brandon Wilson was the one trying to wrap him up and really just kind of shrunk down and got underneath the arms of Wilson. Plowed forward for 5.
Patterson comes out in the shotgun with Higdon to his left. Got to imagine Michigan will continue the steady diet of runs. Long wait for the snap, and here it comes. Patterson is going to keep it himself. He's got a blocker. McCune doesn't really run behind him, but he does get forward for the first down. A strong tackle there from Indiana, but not after a 7-yard gain. Marcelino Ball, the one bringing him down.
Ticking inside of 4 minutes now here. Michigan back in the red zone.
1st and 10. We mentioned earlier Michigan's been doing a lot of runs in the first down sets in the red zone. We'll see if they dial up the same here. 8 on the play clock. Mason to Patterson's left and Wilson behind him in the pistol. And Patterson will just give it to Wilson. He doesn't have a lot of running room on the left side, but gets down to the 15 or the 14, depending on where they spot him.
Michigan 6 of 7 so far on the night in the red zone.
It looked like True Wilson shaken up, sort of hobbling as he got up from that one. Now running a little bit better, but still favoring one leg over the other as Higdon comes back on. Clock approaching 3 minutes. Patterson under center, 2nd and 5 from the 14-yard line. Higdon the lone set back and 2 wide receivers. They will just feed Higdon once again and nothing there. A gain of about 1, actually maybe nothing on that one.
Yeah, I don't think he got anything.
The right lines judge and the left side lines judge different opinions. And looks like Indiana's going to take a timeout. They burned their first very early in the half out of an injury timeout that was very bizarre. And Oklahoma State has, in fact, defeated West Virginia, so there goes another team from the college football playoff picture.
We'll still, I believe, likely face Oklahoma for the Big 12 championship.
What? What?
What? West Virginia, Oklahoma, round 2, was it not?
Potentially. You saying for the Big 12 championship game?
Wasn't it supposed to be?
They were scheduled to meet each other, but now Texas controls their own destiny.
Ah, okay. See, that's where I'm...
Texas and Iowa State both have paths to the Big 12 championship game. Goes with...
They play next week, right?
Oklahoma and West Virginia do,
yeah.
Yes. But it will not necessarily set up the situation. So, 3rd and 4 from the 13-yard line. Michigan looking to get that touchdown. Patterson in the shotgun, and he will keep it himself running forward, but he's going to be a little bit short, dropped at the 10. We might see field goal attempt number 6 as Indiana burns another timeout.
Unless Jim Harbaugh really wants to stick a point home here. It'd be about 4th and 1 from maybe the 11-yard line.
I think you have to kick the field goal because you're up 8.
With 2:40.
If you don't get it, then it's only a 1-score game. If you get the field goal, you're up 2 scores. And in that scenario, Indiana will have no timeouts, would have to recover an onside kick to have any shot. So I think kicking it is the smart thing, even though, again, lots and lots and lots of red zone running in this one.
.240 on the clock. And they will send out Moody. Can he go 6 for 6, Drain?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, it has been very, very short kicks today. It might be the easiest 6 for 6 any field goal kicker will ever get, because this one will only be from 29. Will Hart setting up at the 19. Cheeseman, the snapper, as always. Hold is good. The kick is a laser right through, and Michigan takes a 31-20 lead over the Hoosiers. Michigan now over 500 yards of total offense, 260 rushing yards, 250 passing yards, 510 total. As Hail to the Victor sounds, and a lot of fans start heading to the exits. 2:37 to go in the game.
Looks like Jim Brandstatter on Michigan radio saying that the initial report on Berkeley Edwards is that he is okay. He has feeling in both his arms and his legs. That is the early report, but definitely good information based off of what it looked like it could have been.
Looks like Will Lockwood has scored to tie the game at 2 between Michigan and Penn State hockey.
Be interesting to see the post-game handshake.
Yeah.
Between Tom Allen and Jim Harbaugh.
It's definitely been...
If there is one.
not the cleanest game ever played by the Hoosiers. As Sweet Caroline sounds, a lot of fans headed out. Michigan looks like they are in the clear for another double-digit win, but it's not the prettiest, and they're going to have to make one more stop of the Hoosiers to get there. Keep in mind, this is the most yards allowed by Michigan this entire season to any team when it comes to Indiana. That kick by Moody goes into the end zone for a touchback. The previous high had been to SMU in the Prochet game.
Update for Michigan hockey again. Will Lockwood tying the game up late in the first period.
Any assists on that one?
Don't have the assists on the stat feed at the moment. Will Lockwood, however, has tied the game up at 2 with Penn State in State College as they near the end of the first period there. Get you the assist there in just a moment.
Here we go, 1st and 10 from the Michigan 25, Indiana. And now we've got a timeout, an injury. That wasn't even a play.
Might be a cramp.
We've seen cramp issues earlier in this game. And out come the training staff again. They've gotten their money's worth here today.
And it's Devin Bush.
I mean, Bush must have. It's either a cramp or he tripped or something. I don't know. We're looking at the. He might have pulled something. Looked like he was stretching and then jumped up and then just fell down.
He's on his back right now. It looks like they are maybe working out a cramp in his right thigh near his knee.
Looks like they're massaging his leg. A whole bunch of trainers surrounding him.
So luckily a non-contact.
And now he's to his feet.
Yeah, I think he just cramped up in his leg because he's a little ginger on it getting back to the sideline, but he's entirely under his own power.
You know, we normally talk about cramps in balmy environments like that first game against Notre Dame when the humidity was ungodly, but cold weather environment has not been the best for Michigan here today. So 1st and 10, Indiana from the 25-yard line. 2:37 remaining this game. They're down 11. Pressure comes on Ramsey. He's in trouble. Just has to throw it in the area of his running back. He's been good at that tonight.
Good coverage there from Josh Ross coming out of the backfield.
Second and 10. Ramsey in the shotgun, running back to his left. He's starting to feel some pressure, rolls out to his right side, and he just fires it out of play again. He's gotten good at the throwaways.
3rd and 10. See how hefty Don Brown decides to bring the blitz package here. Looks like he's just going to go with 4. Play for coverage here.
3rd and 10 from the Michigan 25. Ramsey drops back. He's got all day to throw. He's got a man over the middle, complete, and a first down for Indiana out to the 40-yard line.
It was Timian.
Tyree Cannell on the coverage, but again, the pass rush is just not there today for Michigan. I mean, Ramsey has all day to throw and finds a man open. Here come the Hoosiers hurrying it up. Ramsey is going to throw it underneath. Got it complete to the 43 or 44-yard line. 2 men on the tackle, Bush and Metellus, to bring down, it's like 24, Mike Majette.
Going to tick under 2 minutes here before the next snap, but they're going hurry up.
2nd and 6. Ramsey still got lots of time. Now he's going to decide to run it. Got hit as he throws down the field. Oh, and just a little overthrown.
Be close look there. That might have been a throw past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he was dangerously close because he started to step up as he was getting hit.
Yeah, if it's not, it's right on the line. Stepping up. He thought he might take it on the ground and run it, but stops the clock at 1:52.
And now we've got a whistle, maybe Michigan to take a timeout. Oh, no, another injury.
Way
So
down deep, looks like David Long, yep.
And he's grabbing his leg.
Cramp as well, yep. Working on the calf muscle there, it looks like.
What in the world?
These players didn't get enough water before they got out on the field there. You hate to make light of it, but cramps are a very preventable thing most of the time.
Yeah, and again, I mean, normally it happens when you get dehydrated and it's hot. And Long ran fine. He gets up, starts walking back to the sideline, and then just falls down. And then starts to grab his right foot and do stretches on that right leg.
Continuing to stall the conclusion here as we are 7:45 local here in Ann Arbor.
This is one of the longest games in memory for a game that may not go to overtime.
It's going to be 4 hours in total by the time we're done here.
Well, it was a pretty long first half in a lot of ways. There were a lot of timeouts back-to-back early on in the contest, and the third quarter started to go by quickly, and then the injuries, and the cramps specifically, because here we go again. Long gets right up and walks over to the sideline. I mean, he's okay. It's just cramps. Michigan still leads Indiana 31-20. 1:52 to go. 3rd and 6 upcoming at the 44. Michigan still got all 3 timeouts. They've, been able to coach enough because their players keep getting hurt. .152 remaining.
2 down territory no matter what, so don't have to get all 6 on the first down here.
Ramsey drops back to pass. He's gonna get hit, gonna go down, sacked. Rashawn Gary got him. And he will be dropped at the 38-yard line, a loss of 6. It'll be 3rd and 12 coming up, and the Hoosiers have got to hurry. They have no timeouts. 1:35 to go, game on the line right here, 4th and 12. Michigan trying to get set up. And you had to assume Harbaugh would take a timeout, and he does.
Rashawn finally beat an outside blocker in Brandon Knight. Was able to get around him and finally get a little pressure home on Peyton Ramsey. Only the 2nd sack of the night for Michigan.
It's definitely been a scheme by Indiana. 1:29 remaining. As Indiana's done a lot of slants, and Ramsey's been very good at throwing the ball away today. He could have taken a whole lot more sacks than he has, but he's been good at getting it out. It's made his line look pretty ugly, 16 for 34, but he's been able to save his team some yards. As Michigan they're not gonna go with the blitz package. They've brought Josh Uche off the field, and they've got the true freshman Aiden Hutchinson out there. Gary on one end, Hutchinson on the other. Pay and Dwumfor up the middle. 4th and 12 from the Indiana 38. They need the 50. Ramsey drops back, starts to feel the pressure, and runs backwards immediately. Rolls out to the right. He's just going to fire it up in the air. It's going to be incomplete. Looked like it might have been intercepted, but it dropped to the ground, and it's incomplete as Ramsey on the desperation heave. A turnover on downs. Michigan will take over on the Indiana 38.
And I'll tell you again, off the ball, Rashawn Gary bringing pressure on the quarterback, down on the 30-yard line. Indiana player didn't get the number, comes in flying on a down Rashawn Gary.
Yeah.
Another dirty hit.
This has been a really, really ugly performance.
Wish I could get that one on the replay, because that one was also plain as day behind the referee.
With Indiana having no timeouts, Michigan is just going to take 2 kneel downs to end this game. 1:21 on the clock. Patterson kneels it down. The play clock will start at 1:16, so as long as Michigan winds it down to about 2 or 3 on the play clock, they only need one more kneel. Michigan going to win this one 31-20 over Indiana. A shaky performance at times, but
it's going to set up a big matchup in Columbus next weekend. Both teams will be 10-1. And it'll be Michigan and the Ohio State Buckeyes, as always, at noon from the Shoe. Wonder if we'll see LeBron James again this year. Saw him last time we were there.
Ball placed on the 40, and Patterson will take the snap with 3 seconds left. Here's the kneel down, and that'll do it. The crowd that remains, as most had filed out do cheer. Michigan plays a lot better in the second half, outscoring Indiana 16-3 in the second half. Here comes the coaches walking out to midfield. We'll see what is said.
Keep an eye on Harbaugh sifting through that pile.
Trying to see what's going on. Looked like he was talked to by the police. And, you know,
He does not shake his hand.
Yep, he just pats Wilson on the side as the two troopers standing right there. And now the Michigan team runs over to the student section for the last time this year. Michigan.
The last home game for the seniors, undergrads as well, the fans.
Yep. And for the second time in 3 seasons, Michigan completes a perfect 7-0 home schedule. Doing so in 2016, trying to end the year a little differently than 2016 did. One more win to get.
Again, thanks to everybody who tuned in with us on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. We are live again next Saturday at noon against Ohio State in Columbus. We've got plenty of Michigan coverage coming for you the rest of this week leading up to that game, so keep an eye out on Twitter at WCBN Sports and on YouTube.com/WCBN Sports as well.
Our final score here in this one, Indiana 20, Michigan 31. The Wolverines, not their best game of all time, especially not defensively, but it was good enough to get the win. 31-20, our final score from Nate Sorensen, Daniel Thompson, Jeremy Parks. I'm Alex Drain. Good night, and go blue.